He's a fashion designer named Ling Yun. His Fianca copyright died unexpectedly. The company ruthlessly fired him. What kind of maze will his life fall into? May 5th, 2017. Little did he know, the wheel of Ling Yun's fate began to turn from this moment. You're fired. Leave immediately. These words struck Ling Yun like a bolt from the blue. He suddenly felt wronged, stammering to ask President Wang why he was being fired, what he had done wrong. This question was like lighting a firecracker. President Wang grabbed the design draft, angrily shouting about leaked designs, asking how dare he question why. With that, he threw the design draft forcefully, hitting Ling Yun squarely in the face. After leaving the office, Ling Yun seemed unable to recover. The company must have made a mistake to fire him. Without realizing it, he walked to the HR department. Ling Yun quietly watched as staff processed the paperwork. Nearby colleagues were whispering. Unbearable voices reached his ears. He frowned, looked back. Have you heard? It's him. He leaked the design drawings before they even reached the factory. Such nerve, not afraid of getting arrested. The staff member handed the resignation papers to Ling Yun. Only then did he withdraw his gaze. Although wrongly accused, he still felt reluctant to leave the company. He bowed slightly to his colleagues, thanking them for their care all along. Then he packed up his belongings and quietly left his post. When he reached the end of the corridor, a sudden gust of wind blew a design draft from his box. As he reached out to pick up the design, a female voice reached his ears. A familiar feeling surged, leaving him frozen in place, forgetting to stand up. Ling Yun looked back. It was his colleague Bai Xiaoyi. Bai Xiaoyi walked up to him and said decisively, "Others may not believe you, but I do. The leaked designs couldn't have been your doing." Ling Yun looked troubled and confused. "Did you come specially to see me off?" Before Ling Yun could react, Bai Xiaoyi grabbed his hand, comforting him like a close friend. "President Wang doesn't understand you at all." After hearing this, Ling Yun quickly pulled his hand away from Bai Xiaoyi's grasp. "You're right. No one understands me like you do." Bai Xiaoyi felt annoyed. "What do you mean by what you just said?" Just then, Ling Yun's phone rang in his pocket. Without time to answer, he only said to Bai Xiaoyi, "Don't do this kind of thing again." He turned around hurriedly, preparing to leave. But Bai Xiaoyi wanted answers, grabbing Ling Yun's arm angrily saying, "Explain yourself before you go." Ling Yun, wearing black high heels, was forced to step backwards slowly by Bai Xiaoyi. Bai Xiaoyi not only wouldn't let go, but kept shaking his arm, persisting verbally. She said angrily, "Tell me what's going on. I know you're upset about being fired." By now, Ling Yun had backed up to the stairs. Supporting himself, he muttered, "Let go, you thief." Seeing Ling Yun's pathetic state, Bai Xiaoyi felt pleased, her lips curling up. "Where are you going? Is Wu Mufeng coming to pick you up?" Hearing Bai Xiaoyi mention Wu Mufeng, he angrily shouted, "Let go of me, you thief." Bai Xiaoyi immediately put on an innocent face, staring blankly at Ling Yun. At this point, he had nowhere to retreat. His high heels were wobbling, trembling on the verge of falling. Unexpectedly, Bai Xiaoyi reached out to pull him back. Ling Yun looked back at the towering stairs, breaking out in a cold sweat. But then, Bai Xiaoyi suddenly let go, and he fell down. Bai Xiaoyi just stood there motionless. Only a few design drafts were floating in the stairwell. The phone in his pocket flew out too, with several missed calls showing. Ling Yun tried hard to reach for it, but couldn't. Then he suddenly saw someone standing at the bottom of the stairs, but couldn't make out their face. Was it Chun Fan or Wu Mufeng? Just before hitting the bottom, he suddenly recalled the scene of Chun Fan proposing to him. Chun Fan had gently told him not to regret it, and he had shyly criticized that's not how one proposes. He still remembered when processing his resignation, who put that note in the HR documents. Why didn't they just message him? Before he could think of many other things, he crashed to the ground with a thud. After a while, he slowly opened his eyes. His first thought was that he hadn't died after all. He saw several pairs of beautiful legs, people surrounding him, muttering that he hadn't died. One of them grabbed Ling Yun's wrist, trying to wake him. Ling Yun felt sore all over. It was just falling downstairs, not enough to cause death. The girls looked at him. His mind seems fine. Chen Xia said, "Looks like he's okay. We can go back." Ling Yun was surprised. "In this situation, why aren't you helping me up? I won't hold it against you." As he spoke, he caught a glimpse and discovered his black high heels had become red canvas shoes. His professional women's outfit had changed to a middle school uniform. He pushed himself up unsteadily. Looking up at the distant stairs, he wondered, could this be his school? He shielded his eyes from the bright sunlight and looked carefully again at the distance. After confirming it was a school, he excitedly got up and ran outside. Suddenly remembering his recent experience, President Wang firing him without explanation, Bai Xiaoyi forcing him to the stairs, then falling down. He remembered his name was Ling Yun, a fashion designer who'd just been fired. But why was he at his school? Unable to make sense of it despite trying, he ran out of the teaching building, breathless. He stopped in front of a large glass door, staring at his reflection. Suddenly startled, he shouted, "Who is that?" His voice disturbed a teacher working nearby, who opened the window and scolded. No shouting in the hallway. He couldn't believe his eyes. Looking closer at the glass again, examining his current appearance, he wondered, have I become a student? A bird flew across the sky, soaring above Yulin Middle School. Looking at the scene before him, Ling Yun muttered, have I time traveled? Students bustled on the street, crossing with their backpacks. He seemed to see his high school self. Still disbelieving, to wake himself up, Ling Yun ran hard across the overpass, shouting, what kind of joke is this? I still have so much to do. In an instant, he found himself at the food street. Looking down while hurrying along, he forgot to watch ahead. Suddenly, with a crash, he was knocked down by an oncoming bicycle. Sitting sadly on the ground, he burst into tears. Why am I so unlucky? Just then, a handsome boy extended his hand, asking softly, are you okay? Are you hurt? Hearing the familiar voice, he slowly raised his head, carefully examining the boy before him. It was none other than Chun Fan, the man who proposed to him last month and his high school classmate. After standing up, they walked silently along the tree-lined path. Suddenly, they both said you at the same time. Ling Yun gently waved his hand. What did you want to say? You go first. Do you have something? You seem a bit anxious. Yes, I was rushing home to confirm something. That's why I bumped into you. Chun Fan immediately offered to lend him his bicycle. But Ling Yun said, no need. I've already confirmed what I needed to know. Then asked back, what were you going to ask me just now? Chun Fan didn't know what he wanted to ask, so he just mumbled something. But the next second, Ling Yun suddenly grabbed Chun Fan's cheeks with both hands. Tears welling up in his eyes, unable to believe what he was seeing. Is it really you, Chun Fan? Chun Fan's cheeks were squished, barely managing to squeeze out the one and only. After getting the confirmation, he released his hands. Chun Fan rubbed his squeezed cheeks, wondering what was wrong with this person. Walking one after another, Ling Yun remembered that although he and Chun Fan were classmates for 3 years, they only officially got together after the college entrance exam. Lost in thought, he stopped and gently tugged at Chun Fan's backpack. Sensing something unusual behind him, Chun Fan turned around puzzled. He saw Ling Yun crying softly with his head down. Why are you crying? Is someone bullying you at school? Hearing Chun Fan's concern, he immediately lifted his head. Though tears filled his eyes, he happily said, I'm fine. It's just so good to see you again. Chun Fan laughed awkwardly, joking. Why are you acting like we're facing life and death? Ling Yun smiled faintly without saying more. They had reached a fork in the road, as if facing some kind of choice. Chun Fan turned back, asking, are you sure you don't need me to walk you home? Ling Yun smiled slightly. Yes, it's fine. See you tomorrow. I can't say, and don't know how to say, that I just attended your funeral a few days ago. Though I don't know what's happening, I'm very grateful to heaven for letting us meet again. Ling Yun returned to his home from 10 years ago. Children were playing around, and the stairwell still had that familiar, warm, old smell. Reaching his door, he took out his key to open it. With a click, the lock opened. Just then, children's playful voices came from nearby. Before his shadow clone could enter, a young boy bumped into his waist. The boy, fearless, made faces while running away hurriedly, mumbling, Orochimaru, how about that? Aren't I amazing? Orochimaru got angry at the boy's nickname for him. He clenched his fists and shouted, how many times have I told you, don't call me Orochimaru? I'm Niji. Watching their quarrel and hearing their conversation, Ling Yun couldn't help but sigh at how childish it was. The boy, unwilling to back down, teased again. Niji's the worst in class. Niji angrily retorted, don't talk nonsense. Ling Yun walked inside, changing his shoes while remembering that Naruto was popular during junior high, but Yulin was a high school. As he thought about it, he glanced up and saw the year was 2007. Frightened, he grabbed his head and screamed in terror. The scream was so loud that even a bird flying past the window was startled, hastily flapping its wings a few extra times. His mother, rushing to the sound, happily said, "I wondered who it was. Turns out it's my Yun coming home." But her eyes welled up with tears, and finally, she called out, "Mom." Mom brought out a plate of fragrant braised pork, smiling and saying, "Come try it, I made your favorite today." But memory pulled him back to reality. Back then, Mom was lying in the hospital bed, groaning in pain, while Dad softly comforted her, saying she would get better. Seeing her daughter's tearful eyes, Mom asked, puzzled, "Why are your eyes so red? Is someone bullying you?" She then reached for the spatula. Lingyun quickly stopped her, gently persuading, "Mom, calm down. No one is bullying your daughter." Mom put her hand on his shoulder, saying softly, Yun, if classmates are bullying you, you must tell me. I'll go talk to Teacher Chin." "Mom, I'm really fine. Quick, check on your cooking. I smell something burning." Yun, you're just too soft." Lingyun remained silent, quietly listening to her mother's long-missed nagging. When dinner was ready, she ate ravenously. Mom complained, "Eat slowly. Why are you eating like you haven't eaten in centuries?" Lingyun burst into tears, crying uncontrollably, mumbling, "It's been so many years since I've had Mom's homemade braised pork." While putting food on Lingyun's plate, Mom said gently, "Silly child, what are you saying? You just had it last week." Lingyun ate with tears streaming down her face, choking out, "It's really delicious." Mom had never seen her like this and wondered why her child was acting so strange today. As night fell, Lingyun sat alone at the study desk by the window, thinking about what she was like in high school. Everyone said she had a gentle personality. Even when classmates poked her from behind, she wouldn't resist at all. When bullies threw her backpack from upstairs, they didn't even bother zipping it. Books scattered everywhere, but she didn't have the courage to fight back. Simply put, she was an easy target back then. But when Mom asked expectantly how the braised pork was, she had responded impatiently. "Braised pork for this meal, braised pork for that meal, braised pork every day. I'm gonna get fat." Mom felt hurt, but it's been a week since we last had it. Back then, when others bullied her, she always saved her bad temper for Mom. Looking back, it was really terrible. Lying in bed, Lingyun thought, since she got a second chance, she should make amends. There was still a chance to change Mom's fate. Lost in thought, she started laughing out loud in her room, startling her mother, who wondered if her child had gone crazy. Unexpectedly, the next day, she overslept. Without time for breakfast, she rushed to school, running and shouting, "Oh no, I'm going to be late." When she pushed open the classroom door, all her classmates looked up at her in surprise. But she didn't care, only looking for her seat. After searching for a while without remembering her seat, a male voice came from behind. "You're blocking my way." Lingyun consciously made way for the boy, but he didn't even look at her. After he passed, she realized it was Wu Mufeng. He walked to an empty seat, gently tapped the desk, turned around and said, "Why are you still standing there? The teacher will be here soon." As if enchanted, Lingyun quietly walked to Wu Mufeng's side. She wondered in her heart if he knew her secret. Just as she sat down, the teacher appeared. He clapped his hands for silence, then took out the Chinese textbook. Lingyun smiled happily, because Chinese was her favorite subject. She silently vowed that this time, she wouldn't let it pass ordinarily. She opened the Chinese textbook and began reading immersively. "The great river flows east." Before she could finish reading, the teacher interrupted. The class suddenly fell silent. The teacher said with satisfaction, "Lingyun shows great enthusiasm. So this ancient poem will be recited by you." Lingyun was startled at first, then quickly stood up. Nervously, she began reciting. "The great river flows east, waves washing away all heroes of the past." She got stuck and couldn't continue. Her classmates covered their mouths, letting out merciless laughter. They discussed among themselves, "So she only knows this one line." Even Chun Fan turned around curiously to look at her. Lingyun's face turned red with embarrassment. She thought to herself, "This is so humiliating. This won't do." The next second, she explained to the teacher, "Teacher, I'm not feeling well," and ran out of the classroom. The teacher stood there stunned, not yet understanding what happened, only mechanically responding with an "oh." The classmates clearly understood and burst into laughter. But the next second, a mischievous student raised their hand and said to the teacher, "I'm not feeling well either." Right after, another student followed suit. "Teacher, I'm not feeling well too." This angered the teacher, whose face changed color. Lingyun rushed out of the classroom and hid behind a wall, sobbing with regret. After so long, she had forgotten most of what she had learned before. At this rate, forget about making changes. She might not even get into the same university as before. She held her head in her hands, tears streaming down her face. Suddenly, someone appeared beside her, leaving only the words, "How unsightly," before turning away. The harsh words brought back her thoughts, and she curiously turned her head. She discovered it was Wu Mufeng, who always wore his school uniform with the zipper down and maintained a cold, heartless demeanor. Ling Yun suddenly remembered when Chun Fan had just had his accident. Wu Mufeng had embraced her, saying, "No matter what happens in the future, I won't leave you." She thought Wu Mufeng already had feelings for her at this time, so she stood up and explained, "Don't worry about me." Before she could finish, Wu Mufeng interrupted, "Don't be so full of yourself. Who would worry about you?" As he turned to leave, he didn't forget to criticize. Being weak is also a sin. Hearing this, Ling Yun's head buzzed with anger, instantly forgetting her sadness. She rushed to confront him, shouting, "Wu Mufeng, wait. Though what you said isn't wrong, it's too hurtful." Wu Mufeng hadn't expected Ling Yun to argue with him. Without even facing her directly, he glanced sideways and asked, "What? You don't agree?" Ling Yun was speechless, too lazy to argue with him, only saying, "You're too full of yourself. What goes around comes around." Wu Mufeng, unwilling to back down, stepped closer and said aggressively, "Seems like I was meddling unnecessarily." Unexpectedly, her mind blanked and she blurted out, "You'd better not fall in love with me." Hearing this, Wu Mufeng was stunned for a moment, then cornered her against the wall, saying seriously, "Listen well, I would never like someone weak." Back at the classroom door, Ling Yun thought about everything that had just happened, her mind in chaos. What's all this about? She stood at the classroom door, watching Chun Fan surrounded by female classmates, chatting and laughing. She angrily shouted, "Chun Fan, you're my future husband. How can you be so close to other girls?" Zhou Qi burst into laughter, tears coming to his eyes. He couldn't believe it and asked, "What did you just say?" Ling Yun suddenly realized she had misspoken and quickly covered her mouth in embarrassment. Then Chen Xiao asked everyone, "Did you all hear that?" She just looked at Chun Fan and said, "That's my future husband." Following this, everyone laughed as if they'd heard a huge joke. At this moment, Ling Yun didn't want to face everyone. She mumbled quietly, "You must have heard wrong." Zhou Qi wasn't going to let it go. Though she had already left, he caught up and said, "So what if I heard wrong?" Just as Ling Yun was about to speak, Chen Xia clapped her hands and said, "All right, whether you heard wrong or not, whether it was said or not, it doesn't matter. Let's not dwell on this." Then she looked at Chun Fan. "You wouldn't like a girl like Ling Yun anyway." Chun Fan thought for a while, not knowing how to answer this question. Breaking into a cold sweat, he softly said, "We're good friends." Hearing his answer, Ling Yun's heart shattered completely. As the dismissal bell rang, everyone headed out with their backpacks. Chen Xia and her group gathered together again. Fang Xiaomei first criticized Ling Yun for being a country bumpkin, then called her shameless for saying such things. Just as she finished speaking, Zhou Qi warned her to stop talking as Ling Yun was approaching. The four of them stood there, 1-3, until Ling Yun broke the silence first. "Yesterday, was it you who pushed me down the stairs?" "It's just because you're stupid. We didn't push you." Ling Yun was confused, wondering what she had done to provoke these female bullies. "Why are you targeting me?" The yellow, wavy-haired girl had a particularly strong boss-like presence. She looked down with contempt and calmly asked, "How are we targeting you?" Fang Xiaomei and Zhou Qi quickly chimed in, That's right. We're not targeting you. Just tell me what you think of me. Is there some misunderstanding between us?" Chen Xia perked up at these words and immediately said, "Well, if you insist." She put her arm around Ling Yun's shoulder and whispered in her ear, "Why don't we go back to the classroom to clear things up?" The next second, all four entered the dark classroom. Ling Yun felt nervous, sensing something bad was about to happen. Indeed, it happened as she feared. Chen Xia pushed her into the dark classroom. Ling Yun quickly turned around, but it was too late. The door was slammed shut with a bang. Afraid she might escape, they locked the classroom door with a key. As they were about to leave, banging sounds came from inside the classroom. They ignored it completely, as if they couldn't hear anything. Alone in the dark classroom, she desperately shouted, "What are you doing? Let me out!" Suddenly, she remembered her high school life from 10 years ago, when these three often bullied her. Her mother would always say, Yun Yun, you're just too weak. Always enduring silently, never fighting back. Always looking pitiful, like a pushover. Ling Yun crouched in the corner, hugging herself. Suddenly remembering Wu Mufeng's words, she decided to pull herself together. She couldn't follow the same path as before. She walked to the door, raised her right leg high, and with a loud bang, kicked the classroom door open. Chun Xia and the others were terrified. Fang Xiaomei stammered, "Are you crazy? If the door's broken, you'll have to pay for it." She stared steadily at the three, saying fearlessly, "You all think I'm easy to bully, don't you?" Chun Xia scoffed at this, immediately retorting, "Don't think too highly of yourself." Fang Xiaomei, never missing a chance to mock Ling Yun, added, "Always acting pitiful in front of boys. Say that again. I dare you to say that again." Fang Xiaomei, still not realizing the gravity of the situation, continued stubbornly, "You're so cheap." Ling Yun clenched her fists, ready for a fight, and charged at them without hesitation. The scene instantly descended into chaos. But being alone, how could she possibly win against three people? The fight ended with Ling Yun's defeat, as Fang Xiaomei held her arms behind her back. Chun Xia, expressionless, raised her right hand without hesitation. A loud slap landed on Ling Yun's fair cheek. Just as Chun Xia was about to touch her cheek for another slap, Ling Yun, quick as lightning, bit her. Chun Xia screamed in pain. "She bit me. She actually bit me. She's like a mad dog." Their voices were so loud that passing students turned to look. As Fang Xiaomei pulled her hair, Ling Yun explained to everyone, "It's not what you think. I was fighting back. They bullied me first." Before she could finish, the three ran away, with Zhou Qi asking if they should get rabies shots. Ling Yun knelt on the ground, defeated. That's when Wu Mufeng appeared again. "Your hair is messy." Back home, looking at her scratched face in the mirror, she wondered. Nothing had changed. Perhaps things had gotten even worse. Was I really like this before? Why do I look so unfashionable? Suddenly, she thought of something and quickly drew a hairstyle diagram. After drawing, she folded the paper and put it in her pocket. Just as she reached the door, she heard her mom call, "Yun Yun, come eat." Her mother suddenly noticed the wounds on her face and asked worriedly, "Yun Yun, what happened to your face? Did you get into a fight?" Afraid of worrying her mother, Ling Yun started to explain there was no fight. Her mother immediately grabbed her hand and asked, "How did it go? Did you win?" Ling Yun couldn't believe it, expecting to be scolded. She explained, "I said there wasn't a fight, Mom. Don't worry." She went to the door, put on her shoes, and told her mom she had urgent business and would be back soon. "Dinner's ready. Can it wait until after we eat?" Too impatient to eat first, she just told her mom, "Wait till I come back. I'll have a surprise for you." Her mother looked at the calendar puzzled, thinking it wasn't Mother's Day, wondering what surprise there could be. Ling Yun arrived at a hair salon. The interior was brightly lit and looked high-end. She walked slowly to the front desk, with innocent big eyes, asking, "Can you help me change my style?" The receptionist, seeing she was a student, was puzzled but still asked, "Do you have a preferred stylist?" Ling Yun shook her head, "Not yet." The receptionist gently suggested, "I see. Please go to the washing area first to wash your hair." She immediately ran to the washing area, her flowing long hair swaying behind her like a lively young girl. But running too excitedly, she couldn't stop in time and crashed right into someone, letting out a yelp. After coming to her senses, she quickly apologized. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She accidentally dropped her hairstyle sketch. Stylist Leo picked it up and looked thoughtful. After washing her hair, Ling Yun sat in front of the stylist. The stylist asked what style she wanted, and she took out a paper from her pocket. After seeing it, the stylist's face turned pale. She hadn't realized how serious the problem was. The stylist quietly asked, "Are you sure about this?" Ling Yun squinted her charming eyes and answered confidently, "Yes, I'm absolutely sure." Hearing her answer, the stylist returned the paper and said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, but I'm a professional stylist. I can't do this." Ling Yun was confused, wondering if hairstyling techniques weren't advanced enough 10 years ago. But when she opened the paper, she instantly understood what was going on. It was truly shocking once she saw it. What was supposed to be a hairstyle sketch had somehow turned into a date note. She crumpled the paper into a ball, continuously kneading it in her hand. She looked up embarrassedly and explained, "Please believe me, it's not this. I don't know what happened. Could this be someone's prank?" Suddenly, a male voice spoke up. He handed the hairstyle sketch to Ling Yun, asking, "Is this what you're looking for?" The hairstylist was shocked, quietly greeting, "Teacher Leo, why are you here?" Leo ignored the stylist and just smiled at Ling Yun, saying, "The drawing is really good." The receptionist raised her left hand and called out, "Teacher Leo, your car has arrived." Leo walked away, turning back to say goodbye. "Little girl, we'll meet again." As the stylist's scissors clicked away, Ling Yun curiously asked who that person was. The stylist explained he was a senior stylist. Soon the hairstyle was done. The stylist asked if Ling Yun was satisfied. Looking in the mirror, Ling Yun exclaimed it was perfect. After the haircut, she went to the place written on the other note, curious about who had left it. A boy stood by the bench, his tall silhouette stirring imagination. Hearing footsteps behind him, he stammered, "You finally came." But it was too dark to see clearly, and just by voice, she couldn't tell who the boy was. The boy nervously grabbed his shirt hem and said, "I wanted to tell you this at school, but never found the chance." Ling Yun was confused, wondering if this was a confession. "I wrote a song these past few days. I hope you could take a look at it." He turned around and spoke before thinking, "Wu Mufeng, could you help me look at it?" After finishing his words, he realized it wasn't Wu Mufeng. Breaking into a cold sweat, he asked, "Who are you?" Ling Yun was speechless and took out the note, asking, "Did you write this?" The boy came closer and saw it was Ling Yun. He immediately asked loudly, "What's going on? How did this paper end up with you?" Ling Yun looked contemptuous. "Oh, it's student Zhang Lu. I don't know how this happened either." It almost made me lose face in front of the hairstylist. But the next second, she burst out laughing. She kept imagining Zhang Lu confessing to Wu Mufeng. Seeing her expression, Zhang Lu quickly interrupted. "What are you laughing at? You must keep this secret. Don't tell anyone." "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone." Zhang Lu still didn't believe her. He pointed his right index finger to the sky and said, "No, you must swear to heaven." Ling Yun was amused by his reaction and said helplessly, "Fine, I swear to heaven." Zhang Lu turned to leave but turned back again to remind her, "You must forget about this." Ling Yun asked, "About what?" Zhang Lu said, "Tonight." Ling Yun wondered why he was so worried about just writing a song. Zhang Lu didn't want to waste more words and turned to leave, reminding her one last time, "Just don't talk about it at school." When she returned home, her mom had already prepared fragrant dishes. While taking off her shoes at the entrance, she could smell braised fish. Hearing movement at the door, her mom quickly came out asking, "Yun Yun, where did you go so late at night, being a young girl?" With her new hairstyle and a fashionable hairpin, she sweetly apologized to her mom. Her mom looked at the girl before her and asked in disbelief, "Are you really our Yun Yun?" Ling Yun hugged her mom's neck and softly said, "The one and only." "How much did this haircut cost?" "Just the regular haircut price." "So Mom, are you surprised?" "Unexpected." Mom looked serious and asked, "Are you in love? But you're still young. Studies should come first. No early dating." Before Ling Yun could explain, Mom gossipy asked, "Which boy is it? Do I know him? Is he handsome?" Ling Yun didn't answer her mom's questions. She just silently looked at her caring mother and seriously said, "Mom, you should go for a medical checkup." But Mom dismissed it, immediately retorting, "I'm not sick. Why should I get checked?" Ling Yun anxiously said, "It'll be too late if we wait until you're sick." Mom was confused, feeling perfectly fine, and couldn't understand why her daughter would say such unlucky words. Her thoughts drifted back to the past, when Dad comforted Mom from his hospital bed. She advised again, "Mom, health isn't guaranteed." Unable to bear Ling Yun's nagging, Mom had to agree. She prayed in her heart for Mom to live a long life. The next day at school, the disciplinary teacher was at the gate checking students for inappropriate dress. Students on the road saw his new hairstyle and whispered whether he was from their school. Suddenly, they heard the disciplinary teacher say, "That student, wait." The student nervously pressed down their hat. Unexpectedly, the teacher said, "Student, take off your hat." After the student removed their hat, the teacher sternly said, "The school doesn't allow dyed hair. Do you understand?" The student nervously touched their hair. "Teacher, this is natural." The disciplinary teacher didn't believe it and carefully checked something in his hands. The student with dyed hair curiously asked, "Teacher, what are you looking at?" The teacher proudly said, "This is a list of all students with natural hair colors. I have records here, and you're not in it." The blonde student immediately gave in. "Teacher, please let me in." "No, go to the salon and dye it back now. Otherwise, don't even think about stepping 1 foot inside." The blonde student tried to find an excuse. They tried again. Class is about to start. The teacher didn't fall for it. So you're planning to skip, aren't you? Seeing the teacher wouldn't budge, the blonde student gave up acting and turned to leave, not forgetting to show contempt for the teacher. Meanwhile, there was another figure sneaking in the crowd, walking with their head down, afraid of being noticed by the teacher. But what you fear most tends to happen. The teacher suddenly called out, "Fang Xiaomei, stop right there." Their first reaction was to defend themselves. "I didn't dye my hair." Their hands nervously clutched their uniform. The disciplinary teacher seemed to have eagle eyes. He crossed his arms and seriously said, "Show me your hands." Seeing their disguise exposed, they reluctantly extended their hand, revealing a ring on their index finger. "Take it off." Fang Xiaomei didn't dare disobey and complied. "Give me the ring. I'll keep it for you." But Fang Xiaomei was unwilling and tentatively asked, "Can I put it in my backpack?" The disciplinary teacher didn't budge. "I'll give it back after school." Fang Xiaomei protested. "It's expensive. Can you afford to replace it if it's lost?" After hearing this, he couldn't stay silent anymore, or these kids would take advantage. He stated, "In that case, I'll have your parents come get it." This was what students feared most. The teacher's one move defeated them. Fang Xiaomei respectfully said, "Then I'll leave it with you." Just then, Lingyun walked by slowly. Seeing her appearance, Fang Xiaomei wondered if the sun had risen from the west today. Out of girlish jealousy, Fang Xiaomei immediately reported to the teacher, "Sir, doesn't this student's appearance violate school rules?" As expected, the disciplinary teacher sized her up and said, "Student, wait a moment." Lingyun turned around and asked, "What is it, Teacher Li?" The disciplinary teacher examined her hair again. "No problem there," then checked the skirt length, which also seemed fine. Then checked her neck for any jewelry, finding none. He adjusted his glasses, seemingly determined to find something wrong. He leaned closer to Lingyun and sniffed slightly, then immediately asked, "Student, are you wearing perfume?" "You're mistaken, teacher. That scent is from the gardenias blooming on Guangping Road. I walked past them. Some fragrance is unavoidable." The disciplinary teacher was very satisfied, praising this as the standard for students, the true beauty of middle school students. After entering the classroom, classmates were puzzled by her new hairstyle, wondering if she had gotten plastic surgery in Korea. Lingyun felt embarrassed, not expecting her new look to attract so much attention. Suddenly, the classroom door clicked open. It was Wu Mufeng. He looked up, wondering why she was at morning reading again. Before his thoughts could wander, Wu Mufeng suddenly said, "Lingyun, come out for a moment." Lingyun asked, puzzled, "What for?" "You're the English class representative. The English teacher wants you to get test papers from the office. We might have a test soon." She then recalled being the English class representative in sophomore year. But embarrassingly, she was later removed from the position due to declining grades. It was quite humiliating. Lingyun thanked Wu Mufeng and stood up to go to the office, but Wu Mufeng seemed hesitant. Seeing he had more to say, she turned back and looked at him, seemingly waiting for him to speak. "Yesterday after school, I saw a conflict between you girls. As a boy, I couldn't intervene. Did they do anything to you? I can handle such small matters myself. Thanks for your concern." In the classroom, several feet were on Zhang Li's desk as he cried out desperately, "This is my desk." The classmates were very curious, leaning on the windowsill to eavesdrop, mumbling, "What are they saying?" Another replied, "Don't know." During basketball class, students were running on the court. One student dribbling wasn't paying attention. Wu Mufeng suddenly appeared in front of him. The student realized the situation was bad, but it was too late. The ball was intercepted. In the next second, with a stylish turn, the student tried to block him, but he had already shot the ball into the basket. Wu Mufeng happily high-fived his teammates while the spectators cheered. Sweat ran down his face, and he wiped the sweat off his nose with his shirt. This simple gesture caused another wave of cheers from the fangirls below. Senior, you're so handsome." Chun Xia found these infatuated behaviors disgusting and thought these people were too noisy. Suddenly, a shout of "Boss, catch!" brought him back to reality. A basketball landed heavily in his chest. He then began dribbling intently. Facing him on defense was Lingyun. Chun Xia seized the opportunity, pushed him away, and prepared to shoot. The referee blew the whistle. The audience was confused. "Chun Xia, no charging with the ball." Teammates defended Lingyun. "Chun Xia, don't go too far. You've been targeting him since the game started. Don't think we haven't noticed." Chun Xia dismissed it. "Contact is normal in basketball. If you're afraid of getting hit, quit the game." Lingyun's teammates were angry and about to argue, but Lingyun stopped them. "It's fine. They can't win anyway, so they're just being hasty. The audience burst into laughter. Chun Xia's actions not only failed to anger Ling Yun, but backfired on himself. He angrily threw the ball on the ground. The commotion from the girls' basketball drew attention from the boys' team, with everyone unconsciously looking that way. Wu Mufeng was no exception. Chun Xia, still dissatisfied, blocked and bumped Ling Yun again. Even after losing the ball, Chun Xia grabbed his clothes. The referee couldn't stand it anymore and immediately ordered Chun Xia off the court. It's not even an official game. No need to be so strict. We're just playing for fun. The spectators couldn't take it anymore and said, "Stop it." Chun Xia immediately got angry and retorted, "Who do you think you are?" Seeing Chun Xia's anger, his teammates awkwardly said, "Let's just stop playing. Boss, let's go." With a loud bang of the door, Chun Xia left the court. The audience applauded, glad that the annoying guy was finally gone. In the changing room, while changing clothes, he complained that the world only cares about looks. He wondered where Feng Xiaomei had gone at a time like this. After the game, Ling Yan also came to the changing room to change clothes. After school, back home, she happily asked her mom, "How does my new clothes look?" Her mother lovingly replied, "Our Ling Yun is like a clothes hanger. Looks good in anything." Then she noticed her mother washing clothes with a washboard. She asked concernedly why not use the washing machine, but her mother said it doesn't clean as thoroughly. The next day, Ling Yun went to school carrying a handbag. Just as she reached her desk, Chun Xia mockingly said, "If your academic scores aren't enough, you can always apply as a sports specialist student." She sat at her desk and took out some test papers, looking at the pitifully low scores. He angrily stood up so fast that the chair was knocked back, furiously rushing to Chun Xia's face, grabbing his collar with both hands, pushing him to the ground, shouting angrily, "You dare to pick up my clothes? Are you tired of living?" Chun Xia's face was swollen from Ling Yun's hit, eyes filled with tears, trembling while saying, "Sorry, I didn't mean to." Ling Yun just stared at him steadily. It turned out all of this was just imagination. Chun Xia, uncomfortable with the staring, scoffed, "What are you looking at? Was I wrong?" Ling Yun indeed didn't dare to resist anymore, lacking the courage to fight three people again. He feared the result would be like yesterday. Finally, he just righteously said, "You must compensate me for a new school uniform." Chun Xia felt guilty but pretended not to understand. "Are you sick or something?" Ling Yun was angry but didn't dare to curse at him and could only reason, "Didn't your parents teach you that you must compensate when you damage others' belongings?" Conflicts between girls always drew attention. Students unconsciously looked over again. Chun Xia felt uneasy being stared at and snapped at the students. "What are you looking at? It's none of your business." There were no names on the lockers. "How did you know which one was mine? Did you go through each locker?" Students started gossiping one after another, making Chun Xia's face change color. He looked back at the past. These students used to be on his side, but now they had all turned against him. At this moment, Ling Yun held a dripping wet book. Students covered their noses, mumbling, "It stinks." Was he reading in the bathroom? Suddenly, a student leaned towards Ling Yun's ear, pointing at Chun Xia, saying he must have done this. "Don't falsely accuse people. I definitely didn't do it." Thinking of his sneaky actions, Chun Xia nervously told himself he absolutely couldn't admit it. If he admitted it now, it would be over. Unable to bear everyone's mockery, Chun Xia ran out of the classroom, wanting to vent this sudden psychological setback. He angrily lifted his left foot and kicked a row of bicycles hard. The entire row of bikes collapsed, still muttering, "You deserve to get rained on," when suddenly he appeared in front of him. While picking up the fallen bicycles, he asked Chun Xia, "There's one thing I've never understood. Why do you always target me?" Chun Xia shrugged carelessly, saying calmly, "I was just joking around. You shouldn't take it seriously." Ling Yun pulled out a knife from his bag. "Cutting someone's clothes is just joking? Well then, I want to joke around with you too." Chun Xia trembled and backed away, stammering, "What are you doing? Don't come closer." Even facing consequences, he still argued, "Do you have any evidence? You can't accuse me just because I left PE class first." But Ling Yun's next words made him break into a cold sweat. "Someone saw you return to the classroom to get scissors." Ling Yun, tired of arguing, put away the blade and advised, "Stop digging your own grave." Chun Xia collapsed to the ground, asking, "Does the whole class know?" Ling Yun replied, "Do you want them to know?" "Of course not. I'll definitely pay you for the uniform. Ling Yun bent down to look at Chun Xia, asking, so we're even now, right? Chun Xia quickly nodded in agreement. Ling Yun was reasonable. Having gotten a satisfactory resolution, he didn't want to pursue it further. After school, everyone packed their bags to leave, including Ling Yun. Suddenly, a male voice behind him, Chun Fan, asked, are you really letting this go? He turned back to look. He peacefully replied, yes, I don't want to pursue it. I got what I wanted. He lost what he deserved. That's enough. So, this truth you discovered means nothing. Because that day, when Chun Xia sneaked back to the classroom alone, everything he did was seen by Chun Fan hiding behind the wall. Let bygones be bygones. I don't want to wrongly accuse anyone, but thank you anyway. Chun Fan scratched his head embarrassedly and shyly said, there's an art exam lecture this weekend. Want to go together? Ling Yun's face lit up with a smile, simply responding with a yes. Meanwhile, on the other side, Fang Xiaomei went to the guidance counselor's office to retrieve her confiscated ring. Unexpectedly, the counselor wanted to call her parents. Fang Xiaomei didn't want her mother to come to school and dismissively said, what's there to discuss? It's just a fake anyway. The teacher opened the drawer while warning her. Even if it's fake, you're not allowed to bring it to school anymore. Do you understand? Fang Xiaomei promised the guidance counselor that she would never bring it to school again. The counselor placed the ring in Fang Xiaomei's hand. Next time, I won't be so nice. Fang Xiaomei sincerely said, don't worry, teacher. There won't be a next time. Watching Fang Xiaomei leave, the counselor sighed. Why are students like this nowadays? A passing teacher consoled him. Everyone wants to look beautiful. But nowadays, kids aren't afraid of anything except comparison with others. Meanwhile, Chen Xiang returned to the classroom, where Zhou Qi had been waiting at the door for a long time. After hearing the outcome, Zhou Qi was unhappy. He felt it shouldn't end like this and immediately cursed Ling Yun. He's really getting too cocky. Surprised by Zhou Qi's intense reaction and feeling uncomfortable, he coldly said, if you're not satisfied, handle it yourself. As they argued at the classroom door, a girl's voice interrupted, why haven't you left yet? Chun Xia, already angry, spoke harshly to Fang Xiaomei. She frowned and asked angrily, where were you during PE class? Fang Xiaomei entered the classroom, packing her bag while nervously explaining, I wasn't feeling well. She looked up at the two, asking puzzled, why are you both still here so late? Were you waiting for me? Unexpectedly, they both stood with arms crossed, angry and ignoring each other. Zhou Qi spoke first. I have something to do. I'm leaving, not wasting time with you. Chun Xia could only walk with Fang Xiaomei, but before he could speak, she said she had plans and couldn't walk together. Meanwhile, Chun Fan, having finally expressed his sincere invitation, suppressed his excitement. He said goodbye to Ling Yun. Ling Yun shyly replied, okay, if I can't find you, I'll call you. They stood silently facing each other for a long time, both blushing. Suddenly, Chun Fan unzipped his school uniform, knowing exactly what he was doing. This action startled Ling Yun, who immediately covered his face with his right hand, stammering, what are you doing? But the clothes were already off, and he calmly replied, lending you my uniform to wear. Ling Yun finally understood and smiled, saying, thank you, but no need. If I wear it home, my mom will be more suspicious about what happened. The reason for rejection was so reasonable that Chun Fan had to give up. He put the uniform over his shoulder, got on his bicycle, and said goodbye again. Ling Yun, somewhat flattered, gently waved with his left hand while reminding him to be careful. As Chun Fan's figure gradually disappeared, Ling Yun remained standing there, unaware that Wu Mufeng had seen everything. Unable to describe exactly what emotion it was, but he felt somewhat angry. Suddenly, a male student greeted him. Wu Mufeng's thoughts were instantly pulled back. Zhang Le awkwardly broke into a cold sweat. I'm Zhang Le. We're classmates. Wu Mufeng had trouble recognizing faces and casually asked, is that so? I don't remember. Zhang Le was shy and stammered for a while, unable to express his thoughts. Ling Yun walked alone by the road when suddenly a car entered his view. After recognizing Fang Xiaomei in the passenger seat, he wondered confused. Doesn't she usually bike home after school? As the car passed by him, he suddenly understood what was happening and prepared to run after it to investigate. Focused on watching the car, he forgot to watch where he was going and accidentally bumped into someone's arms. He apologized before even looking up, When he looked up, he recognized the person. It was the hairstylist he met at the salon a few days ago. Leo handed him a business card. "Sorry for coming to find you so abruptly. Let me introduce myself. My name is Leo." Ling Yun accepted the card with both hands, still surprised. So he looked up and asked, "Teacher Leo, what brings you here?" He generously praised the young girl. "Your design sense is great. Have you designed anything else?" Ling Yun became interested and softly asked, "How about clothing?" Then she lowered her head and mumbled, "But I don't have any design sketches." "Is that what you're worried about? Could you draw some for me to see?" Ling Yun asked, puzzled. "Are you planning to recruit a middle school student as a designer?" Leo calmly replied, "Design has no age limit." Before Ling Yun could agree, she noticed a white SUV parked nearby. "Is that your car?" Leo glanced at his assistant and nodded. "Yes, it's mine." Ling Yun pleaded, "Could you give me a ride?" Before he could respond, Ling Yun had already walked to the car and opened the door, ready to get in. Leo had actually agreed in his mind, but hadn't said it yet. After closing the door, Ling Yun said, "Follow that Audi ahead." The assistant felt annoyed, thinking, how dare she just get in like she owns the place. But the driver didn't mind. He was happy about the girl's arrival and immediately followed the order. This was an underground parking lot filled with various cars. A beautiful foot with an orange bow stepped out of the car, gently touching the ground. On the other side, a pair of men's leather shoes, symbolizing masculinity, also made their appearance. The girl getting out was Feng Xiaomei. She said helplessly, "Here's your ring back. I really have no use for it." The man wore a suit with a tie, and even his glasses were worn perfectly. Every gesture revealed the aura of a successful man. After pressing the car lock, he walked ahead with his left hand in his pocket. Feng Xiaomei followed in her high heels. She stepped forward to explain, "What if someone discovers this ring?" The man casually turned his head and replied softly, "Haven't I taught you? Just say it's fake." Feng Xiaomei wanted to say more, but the elevator door opened. Afraid others might hear, she chose to stay quiet. They went to the sneaker section, and the man picked up a pair of white sneakers from the shelf. Kneeling down to help her try them on, Feng Xiaomei looked at the white shoes with frustration. "Ah oui, I told you not to buy me things anymore. This is the most popular style at school right now. Don't you want them?" Feng Xiaomei was troubled. "It's not like that. From now on, I can't accept your things anymore. I should return everything you bought me." She took off the shoes and tossed them aside, revealing her clean feet. Then she grabbed Ah Hui's hand and returned the ring to him as well. Ah Hui was at a loss after being rejected. Everything was fine a few days ago, so he asked what was wrong today. Just as Ah Hui was about to kneel down to help Feng Xiaomei put on her shoes, she ran away, shouting, "What if someone finds out?" She didn't want to live in constant fear. Ah Hui grabbed the high heels and chased after her. His hand was about to touch Feng Xiaomei's shoulder, but when it did, she coldly shrugged it off. Ah Hui only said, "Your shoes." Feng Xiaomei froze, looked back, and somewhat regretted her previous actions. She took the shoes and struggled to put them on, preparing to tie the laces. The next second, Ah Hui couldn't control his inner desires and grabbed Feng Xiaomei's waist, whispering in her ear, "Don't you dare run away." She struggled desperately, and finally with a slip, fell firmly on her bottom, crying out in pain. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the embarrassment of being surrounded by onlookers. Suddenly, a pair of beautiful legs appeared, and a loud voice said, "Uncle, are you too old? Are your legs not working well? How can you just stand there after knocking down my classmate? Why don't you apologize?" The crowd turned to look. Ah Hui felt awkward and asked, "Who are you?" Feng Xiaomei said, "This is my friend Ling Yun." She hadn't expected this response, especially since they didn't like her at school. She quietly asked if what was just said was true. Before Feng Xiaomei could answer, Ling Yun again told Ah Hui, "Hurry up and apologize. We have other things to do." The surrounding crowd was whispering, and even the thickest-skinned person couldn't maintain composure. The uncle was unwilling, but after clicking his tongue, he quietly said sorry. Ling Yun couldn't be bothered with him anymore. After hearing the apology, she immediately turned to Feng Xiaomei. She reached out to help Feng Xiaomei up, and fortunately, Feng Xiaomei didn't refuse. This way, Ling Yun had saved Feng Xiaomei, and they ran out of the mall holding hands. At the roadside, Feng Xiaomei had lost all her spirit, leaning dejectedly against a tree while Ling Yun was hailing a taxi. After a taxi stopped, Feng Xiaomei quickly got in. Ling Yun softly asked if she had money. Feng Xiaomei nodded yes. Before the taxi left, she asked Ling Yun to keep this matter secret. She promised, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone." "But what will you do after this?" Feng Xiaomei was very regretful, lowering her head and saying she'd pretend nothing happened. Watching the departing taxi, Ling Yun stood there, lost in thought for a long time. Then Teacher Leo appeared behind her, saying affectionately, "Has the flower protector completed her mission?" She turned around and bowed deeply, saying, "Thank you for your trouble." But Leo said, "Since we're here, how about having a meal together?" Without thinking, Ling Yun refused. "No, my mom has already prepared dinner and is waiting for me." Teacher Leo wasn't ready to let her leave and asked, "In that case, can I first see your clothing coordination abilities?" Ling Yun had to agree, so they went to a mall. Teacher Leo said, "Right here, coordinate freely, any style you want." "All right, give me 10 minutes, let's make this quick." The assistant couldn't agree with this. "This little girl is really boasting. What can she coordinate in 10 minutes? I don't believe it." Unexpectedly, Wu Mufeng, sitting in a taxi nearby, saw Ling Yun entering the mall and couldn't help but sigh. While Ling Yun was still thinking behind the clothes, the assistant said, "10 minutes? That's looking down on people. She can't even browse all these stores in 10 minutes." Teacher Leo looked puzzled and told the assistant, "Don't be skeptical. You'll see in a moment." "Teacher, you say she has talent. I won't disagree. Everyone knows the people you choose are always good. But she actually said she could coordinate an outfit in 10 minutes. I wouldn't even dare make such a claim. She really doesn't know her limits." Ling Yun ignored everything else, looking at the old styles, feeling nostalgic. The sales assistant, watching her browse through the clothes, felt uncomfortable. "Whose child is this? Where are the parents?" Then she told another colleague, "I have customers here. Go quickly and remind her not to dirty the clothes." After speaking, she respectfully went to serve the next customer, completely dropping her previous arrogant attitude. Ling Yun just glanced around briefly and told Teacher Leo, "Let's check the next store." Seeing Ling Yun leave, the store clerk sighed in relief, afraid she might return and dirty their clothes. The assistant internally despised her, muttering about how her clothes made her look like someone worthy of contempt. "If you can't stand it, just go home." The assistant was startled. Nervously clenching her fists, she stammered, "No, teacher. I'm just a bit worried about her." Meanwhile, Ling Yun took down a pink t-shirt. This simple style was timelessly classic. Leo suddenly appeared behind her, saying softly, "Young lady, don't worry about the price. Just coordinate freely." Ling Yun turned around, smiled at Leo, and calmly said, "It's not about the money." Then she walked towards the rack full of clothes, saying, "Actually, these mass-market brand designers are no worse than those high-end brand designers." Taking a piece, walking to the fitting room, she added, "Because these brands need to consider more factors. And my name is Ling Yun. Please don't call me young lady." The assistant, looking at the clothes she took, dared not comment aloud but thought to herself, "It's all just street market stuff." Wu Mufeng, hiding nearby, watched the three people with confusion, wondering who those two were, thinking they didn't look like good people. Ling Yun had changed into the clothes. She thought it was fine, mainly because the quality was good and comfortable to wear, except the hairstyle was a bit awkward. The assistant surely had nothing good to say, directly commenting that she looked messy, like a village girl. But Leo was full of praise, impressed by the students' coordination. Wu Mufeng, hiding at a distance, watched these two adults critiquing Ling Yun's outfit and couldn't hold back anymore. He grabbed Ling Yun's hand to leave. Ling Yun froze, wondering how Wu Mufeng got there. Leo, still unclear about the situation, grabbed Ling Yun's other hand, asking confusedly, "Who are you?" "We're classmates. Who are you to criticize a girl's outfit?" Ling Yun, caught in the middle, felt awkward. She helplessly said, "Let go, both of you. I haven't paid for the clothes yet. With you both pulling me, people might think." The clerk, hearing her words, said while arranging clothes, "It's all right, miss." The assistant and Ling Yun rushed to the payment counter simultaneously. The assistant said Teacher Leo would pay, but Ling Yun directly refused, saying she'd pay herself. The assistant, who already looked down on her, said, "Fine then, I won't fight you for it." After paying, Ling Yun said goodbye to Teacher Leo and left with Wu Mufeng. The assistant in the car shook her head helplessly, thinking about Ling Yun and sighing about how difficult kids are nowadays. The next day, Ling Yun arrived at the agreed place with Chen Fan. She hadn't expected so many art exam candidates this year. The classroom was packed with people, everyone moving forward. The distance between Ling Yun and Chen Fan grew closer due to the crowd's push. Ling Yun's cheeks instantly turned red. Unexpectedly, Chen Fan suddenly pulled her over, then explained, "There are too many people. Be careful not to get bumped by others." After the lecture, the two walked casually on the street. Ling Yun suddenly spotted a barbecue restaurant ahead and asked if he had been there before. Chen Fan looked up at the barbecue restaurant's name, shaking his head saying he hadn't been there. Visibly pleased, he asked if Ling Yun wanted to eat there for lunch. Ling Yun searched through her backpack, realizing she'd spent all her pocket money yesterday. She regretted it, thinking she should have saved some. She looked at Chun Fan dejectedly, saying, "Let's forget it. We should each go home." Chun Fan thought for a moment and said, "It's quite far to go home from here. Let's eat here first. I'll treat you as thanks for accompanying me to the lecture." She kept refusing, saying, No, I'm not used to eating out." But her body honestly followed Chun Fan into the barbecue restaurant. The server respectfully took their order. 1 portion of pork belly, 1 bowl of soybean paste soup, 1 Korean-style beef and vegetable platter, and 2 bottles of grape juice. Hearing such familiar ordering, Chun Fan asked if she'd been here often before. Ling Yun mentioned something about before they had chain stores. The server then said, "Little sister, you must be mistaken. We don't have chain stores. This is the only location nationwide." Suddenly realizing her mistake, she smiled and said it was her error. She recalled those years when Korean barbecue suddenly became popular nationwide, and Lele Barbecue opened many chain stores, though they never matched the original taste. Chun Fan scratched his head embarrassedly, saying, "Sorry for taking up your weekend time." "Don't be sorry. I should thank you for letting me attend this lecture. Actually, did you even need to hear this? You seem to already have plans for your future." Watching the pork belly sizzle, Ling Yun nodded yes. Chun Fan didn't ask further, just preparing to eat the pork belly. Ling Yun suggested trying to wrap it in lettuce. After trying it, Chun Fan quickly gave a thumbs up to show it tasted good. Satisfied with the response, she recalled this place was where she and Chun Fan had their first date. She wondered if this was coincidence. She happily raised her drink, shouting, "May all our dreams come true." She laughed at herself afterward, thinking the phrase was quite cheesy. Unexpectedly, she suddenly asked, "When should we get engaged?" Just about to take a sip of his drink, Chun Fan froze. He stared with wide eyes, standing still, not responding. As night fell, they returned to their respective homes. Ling Yun sat at her desk with a desk lamp on, her pen making scratching sounds. She drew one sheet after another, but still wasn't satisfied with any of her work. Thinking about what happened at the barbecue restaurant, the paper in her hand seemed particularly annoying. She couldn't understand why she'd said such things. Just then, her mother's gentle voice called out, "Ling Yun, get ready to come down for dinner." She didn't open the door, just loudly responded, "Coming soon." Her mother was puzzled. Since returning last night, the child had locked herself in her room. Where did she go yesterday? Seems like she went to an art exam lecture. Then she asked Ling Yun, "Do you remember what day it is today?" Still drawing, Ling Yun only heard her mother call once and responded, "Yes, it's barbecue." Suddenly realizing her mistake, she remembered today was when her father was coming home. She immediately opened the door and ran out excitedly, shouting, "Dad!" Dad was also very happy, quickly inviting her to come eat. "Come try this rice I brought back from Northeast China for you." "Don't tell me you carried this rice all the way from the Northeast?" Mom said, "Yes, I told your dad to ship it, but he insisted on bringing it himself." Dad, holding a bowl of rice, explained, "It's just 2 boxes of rice. Why bother shipping it? I can carry it back myself." She quickly took a bite and told Dad the rice was fragrant and soft, absolutely delicious. Dad then asked, Yun, so you've forgiven me?" Ling Yun paused, completely unable to remember what had happened before. Fortunately, Mom reminded her about Dad not agreeing to let you work part-time. She then recalled how she had completely disrespected Dad, shouting at him, righteously claiming it wouldn't affect her studies. Dad hadn't budged at all, saying, "When I say no, it means no." Then she had stormed out, arguing that studying wasn't the only path in life. Now realizing how unreasonable she'd been, Ling Yin put down her chopsticks and said to Dad, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand you then." Dad smiled contentedly upon hearing this, not blaming her. Then he asked, "I heard you went to an art exam lecture? I'm not trying to discourage you, but you're just starting to learn. It will be very difficult, and the art exam path isn't easy." Ling Yun wasn't discouraged. She told Dad she wanted to become a fashion designer. Hearing this, Dad's eyes widened, and he couldn't help but laugh. Ling Yun was speechless at being mocked. She said angrily, "Could you stop laughing?" Dad laughed so hard he started coughing. Holding back his laughter, he asked again, "Are you serious? But you're still young. Your mind might change." She then asked, "Do you know why I want to become a fashion designer?" Dad became serious, putting away his smile, and asked, "Why?" Thinking of the drawings and pens on her desk, Ling Yun said confidently, "Because I understand it." Dad had expected her to give some kind of reason. Hearing her explanation, he couldn't help but laugh again. After composing himself, he asked Ling Yun, "Couldn't it be because you like it?" She said she did like it, but more importantly, she understood the work and was confident about it. Dad said seriously, "You'll still need to study for that." Ling Yun replied, "That's why I'm learning now." Mom, watching from the side, couldn't help but laugh. "This child, your words have your dad all confused. Even if Dad doesn't support you, you'll still persist, won't you?" She nodded, saying, "Yes, I don't want to do anything I'll regret again." Seeing Ling Yun's determination, Dad finally relented. During the winter art exam, "You'll have to prove yourself to me with your abilities." She firmly replied, "All right, Dad, it's a deal." The class bell rang, and students rushed out of the classroom, gathering at the door to gossip. "Those branded clothes and shoes, were they all bought by that old man?" A classmate covered her mouth and laughed. "You isn't that compensated dating?" Another classmate curiously asked, "Who are you talking about? Do I know them?" The girl with a ponytail said, "I don't know either. Heard they're from Class 3. At that moment, Year 2 Class 3 hadn't finished yet, with students still sitting properly in class, listening attentively. The teacher was explaining functions on the blackboard, saying given the function, before she could finish saying X, a student interrupted, reminding her that the bell had already rung. The boy with the bowl-cut hairstyle looked impatient, clearly harboring long-standing resentment towards a math teacher. He muttered quietly, "If we don't end class soon, we'll miss lunch." The math teacher was also angry. She angrily slapped the desk. "Everyone be quiet. We'll finish this problem before dismissing." At this moment, a female student in class suddenly looked around. While the teacher wasn't looking, she poked the waist of the student in front. The student in front noticed something unusual, but constrained by the ongoing lecture, didn't dare turn around. They just glanced back with their peripheral vision. Quickly, they passed the note to the student in front. The boy read the note and exclaimed, "Holy crap, is this real?" The girl behind immediately made a confirming gesture. Fong Xiaomei watched as her classmates passed around some gossip, completely unaware that she was the subject. The male student passed the note to Chen Xia. Before even opening it to read the contents, he was exasperated by his classmates' inexperience. After reading it, Chen Xia calmly crumpled the note. The student in front turned around asking if it was true. He shook his head, confidently saying it must be false. Suddenly, a male classmate pointed at Fong Xiaomei and shouted, "Who bought your basketball shoes? Did your parents get divorced?" Fong Xiaomei felt somewhat guilty, but still retorted righteously, "What's wrong with divorce? How is it any of your business?" The chattering in the classroom drew the teacher's severe disapproval. She angrily knocked on the blackboard and shouted, "Quiet." After class, Chen Xia and Zhou Qi walked out of the classroom one after another, still complaining about how the teacher delayed dismissal for one problem. Just then, Fong Xiaomei appeared behind them, softly calling out to Chen Xia and Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi immediately put her arm around Chen Xia's shoulder, signaling him to refuse. Chen Xia had to make an excuse. "Sorry, Xiaomei, we don't have time today. We already made plans to go to the supermarket with students from another class." Fong Xiaomei felt disappointed. Chi-Chi didn't even look back at her, just hurrying Chen Xia away. She recalled how earlier, the male student had secretly passed the note to Chen Xia, who after reading it, crumpled it and stuffed it in his desk. So she returned to the classroom and went to Chen Xia's desk. Pulling out the chair, she indeed found the crumpled note in the desk. When she opened it, the contents were about what Ling Yun had witnessed that day. She angrily shouted, "Ling Yun, you liar! You promised to keep it secret, but you told others." After saying this, she tore up the note. At that moment, Ling Yun was carrying her lunch, looking for a seat in the cafeteria. The surrounding area was crowded with students eating. She searched for a long time without finding a seat, feeling suddenly desperate. Finally finding an empty seat, a student blocked it with their hand, indicating it was taken. She desperately looked around again, searching for any other empty seats. Suddenly she saw Chun Fan sitting right in front of her, chatting carefreely with classmates. While laughing heartily, he happened to glance back and noticed someone staring at him. It was none other than Ling Yun, holding her tray with sadness written all over her face. Chun Fan turned around, somewhat surprised, and was about to greet her. But she ran away sadly, afraid her distress would burst out the moment Chun Fan called out to her. Meanwhile, Wu Mufeng was also carrying his tray, looking for a seat. He found an empty spot and gently put down his tray, but before he could sit down, there was a loud bang as a classmate slammed their tray down across from Wu Mufeng. The way they did it made it seem like they were looking for a fight. He was puzzled and asked, "What do you want?" Zhang Li politely chuckled and said, "After school that day, I didn't finish what I wanted to tell you." Wu Mufeng rested his chin on his his hand, unable to recall the incident. So he coldly asked, "When was this? Which day after school? And who are you?" Zhang Lu immediately broke into an awkward sweat, explaining, "I'm Zhang Lu. We're classmates." But Wu Mufeng maintained the same expression, as if he still couldn't remember who this classmate was. The atmosphere became awkward. Just as Zhang Lu was thinking of how to explain, a female voice interrupted. "Is anyone sitting here?" Zhang Li's face immediately darkened. "Why you again? Always interrupting at crucial moments." Wu Mufeng didn't mind and just nodded, saying, "No one's here. Go ahead and sit." As soon as Ling Yun sat down, Zhang Lu elbowed him, then said unhappily, "Every time you show up, I miss my chance to introduce my lyrics." Ling Yun was confused, wondering why Zhang Lu was so uncomfortable when she hadn't done anything. "It's not like you're confessing love. If you're too scared, I can help you say it." Zhang Lu quickly stopped her. "Thanks, but I'll do it myself." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Lu suddenly stood up. He walked behind Ling Yun, heading towards Wu Mufeng. He was holding a notebook. Seeing his current state, Ling Yun couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. After receiving the notebook, Wu Mufeng carefully looked through it. The neat handwriting was indeed pleasing to the eye. After reading for a while, Wu Mufeng asked, "Did you write all these lyrics?" Zhang Lu became shy, blushing as if his intentions had been exposed. Though some parts don't quite feel like lyrics, most of it is actually pretty good. Zhang Lu was overjoyed, tears welling up in his eyes, asking in disbelief, "Do you really mean it?" Wu Mufeng nodded in confirmation, then asked, "Do you know we're planning to hold a campus concert next week?" Zhang Li's eyes immediately lit up, quickly saying, "I know. I wanted to discuss with others about possibly composing music." Zhang Lu looked shy, like a bashful newlywed. Hearing it was scheduled for next week, he asked, "Isn't that a bit rushed? This is our only rehearsal before the competition." Zhang Lu was confused, wondering how a concert became a competition. "We're treating this small concert as a rehearsal for the competition. The main purpose is to select songs." After saying this, he turned his gaze to Zhang Lu, snapped his fingers, and asked, "What do you think?" Zhang Lu, who had been sitting, suddenly stood up excitedly and said, "Then I'll leave it to you." Wu Mufeng agreed, as it had been a long time since he'd found such well-written pieces. Ling Yun was eating, thinking how it had been a while since she'd had cafeteria food and how good it was, when Wu Mufeng's voice suddenly interrupted her. She choked on her food. As she coughed frantically, Wu Mufeng teased, "Are you eating so fast because you're afraid someone will steal your food?" Without much consolation, he continued, "The performance costumes will be your responsibility. Can you handle it?" Ling Yun casually wiped her face and said, "What do the performance costumes have to do with me?" Then she suddenly remembered when Wu Mufeng had asked about her future plans and what kind of work she wanted to do. At that time, she had firmly told him she wanted to become a well-known fashion designer. "This will be good experience for you. It's not a bad thing." Ling Yun thought about her years working as a designer at the fashion company, thinking to herself, "I do have years of work experience, but this is my first time dealing with performance costumes. Is the concert next Friday?" Wu Mufeng said yes. Just as he was about to say more, he saw Fang Xiaomei rushing over angrily. She grabbed Ling Yun's collar and shouted angrily, "Ling Yun, come with me." His food tray fell to the ground with a loud crash. Zhang Lu couldn't bear to watch. Although Ling Yun had inadvertently interrupted him twice, he still couldn't stand seeing him being bullied. "Fang Xiaomei, what are you doing?" Looking at the fallen tray, she shouted, "This is between us, stay out of it. If you have something to say it here." Fang Xiaomei snapped, "Did you tell everyone about that thing?" "I didn't say anything." Fang Xiaomei didn't believe it, because that matter only. Seeing he still wouldn't admit it, rage took over, and Fang Xiaomei lost all reason. She raised her hand to strike Ling Yun, but her hand was caught by Wu Mufeng. Fang Xiaomei looked at him in disbelief. "Even you're helping Ling Yun? That's enough, Fang Xiaomei. Ling Yun isn't the kind of person you say. What do you know?" Just as she was about to say more, Zhang Lu also stepped in to stop Fang Xiaomei. "Everyone's watching. If you don't want to embarrass yourself, say less." Only then did she calm down and notice the other students gossiping behind her. Fang Xiaomei angrily shouted, "Fine, you're all on Ling Yun's side." She could only swallow her anger and leave alone. Zhou Qi, hiding behind the wall, watched the scene and muttered, "Useless." When the dismissal bell rang, Fang Xiaomei no longer walked with Chun Xia and others. Just as she left the school gate, a male voice called out to her. But she didn't want to turn around and pretended not to hear, continuing forward. At the car, Ahui noticed her bad mood. The newcomer asked, "Your favorite brand has new items. Want to go see them?" Passing students overheard what the uncle said. Their cruel mockery made Feng Xiaomei very uncomfortable. Seeing Feng Xiaomei wouldn't get in the car, the uncle got out and blocked her path, putting his hand on her shoulder. Feng Xiaomei felt disgusted and immediately raised her knee, striking him hard. The pain made the uncle's hair stand on end. He finally collapsed to the ground. Feng Xiaomei stood before him, saying arrogantly, "Try harassing high school girls again, and I'll call the police." The uncle trembled in pain, his voice shaking. "You ungrateful brat. After I bought you so many things, give them back." Feng Xiaomei couldn't be bothered to look at him, turning away saying, "Why should I return them? You gave them willingly." Meanwhile, in Music Room 3, Wu Mufeng was singing. His beautiful melody and heavenly voice filled the entire hallway. Just then, the classroom door was quietly opened. Ling Yun and Zhang Lu were eavesdropping through the door crack. Zhang Lu said, "It's truly love," and Ling Yun immediately covered her mouth, laughing. "You should go in and confess." Wu Mufeng and his two friends were practicing intensely, sweat dripping. Zhang Lu asked Ling Yun, "Will they think my songs aren't good?" The drummer was playing energetically. Ling Yun comforted him, "Don't overthink it. If Wu Mufeng used your lyrics, it means you've got talent." "When will they sing my lyrics?" Ling Yun shrugged. "How would I know? I have something to do. Gotta go." Zhang Lu complained, "What's the point of me peeking alone?" Ling Yun realized Zhang Lu had called her there just to be a scapegoat. If they were caught, he could blame it on her. Seeing through it, Ling Yun had to play along, saying pitifully, "We agreed to come check the progress together." Ling Yun pushed open the classroom door and said to Zhang Lu, "Why don't you go in properly and take a look?" The next second, she pushed Zhang Lu right in. Caught off guard, Zhang Lu fell flat on the floor. The scene couldn't have been more awkward. The music group, who were singing, stopped immediately upon seeing Zhang Li's state. He awkwardly explained that it was actually Ling Yun who insisted on coming. But when he turned around, that person had already vanished. By then, she had already run to the stairs, her mind preoccupied with the costume matter. 1 week to get it done was really tight. Not watching where she was going, she accidentally bumped into someone with a thud. Ling Yun quickly apologized. "Sorry, I bumped into you." The other person politely replied, "I didn't see you either. Not your fault." The familiar voice made both of them look up. They said in unison, "It's you." Ling Yun hadn't expected to be so in sync with Chen Fan, and couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. While picking up design drafts, Chen Fan asked, "School's over. Why haven't you gone home?" Ling Yun replied, "Same goes for you." Chen Fan suddenly picked up a design draft, his eyes showing some experience, wondering curiously in his mind. Could this be why Ling Yun was distracted in class that day? Indeed, it was. He remembered being distracted that day too, and couldn't help but look at Ling Yun. A warm breeze blew in from the window. While other students were listening attentively, only Ling Yun was secretly drawing designs. Chen Fan organized the fallen drafts and handed them to Ling Yun, praising, "I can see you've worked hard on these." Ling Yun returned Chen Fan's notebook, smiling. "So have you." Heading to the art room, Chen Fan took the sketchbook, saying yes, then extended his hand to say goodbye to Ling Yun. After seeing her designs, Chen Fan silently determined, "I'm still far behind. I need to work harder." Ling Yun stared blankly at the drawings in her hand until Chen Fan spoke again, snapping her back to reality. "When I'm strong enough, I'll propose to you." Ling Yun finally realized he was answering her question from the barbecue restaurant that day. Her eyes unconsciously welled up with tears. Before she could react, Chen Fan had already run to the end of the corridor. Ignoring the design drafts flying everywhere, she shouted from where she stood, "Chen Fan, explain what you mean by strong enough." Meanwhile, on the way home after school, Feng Xiaomei called from behind, "Zhou Qi, wait for me." He reluctantly turned around. Feng Xiaomei asked, "Are you and Qin Xiao avoiding me?" Zhou Qi awkwardly replied, "No." Feng Xiaomei explained, "Those are all rumors spread by Ling Yun. Don't believe them." Zhou Qi looked at Feng Xiaomei hypocritically, saying confidently, "I believe you. Can you help me clear things up? You know I'm not that kind of person." Zhou Qi seemed troubled, basically not wanting to help, and instead asked Feng Xiaomei, "Have you heard the saying, what's common is no longer strange? What's strange defeats itself? Don't mind these rumors too much. They'll pass in a few days. No one will notice you anymore." Feng Xiaomei looked at the groups of girlfriends in the distance and suggested walking together, but Zhou Qi rejected without hesitation. Feng Xiaomei asked where Qin Xiao was. "I don't know. I have something to do now, so I'll go ahead." Feng Xiaomei wasn't stupid. She could tell Zhou Qi really didn't want to be with her, so she said goodbye. Actually, Chun Xia was thinking about Fang Xiaomei. She was drinking and asking Zhou Qi if she had found Xiaomei. Zhou Qi felt guilty and said she probably went home. She's been in a bad mood lately. Chun Xia agreed. Indeed, we haven't walked together for several days. Zhou Qi looked up and said hypocritically, let's wait until this blows over. Chun Xia took a sip of her drink. Zhou Qi suddenly asked, do you believe Xiaomei? After thinking for a while, he said, how should I put it? Either way, we're all friends. Zhou Qi asked confused, why do we have to be friends in that way? Chun Xia suddenly crushed his drink and said angrily, it's all because of that Ling Yun. He's deliberately making things difficult for us. Zhou Qi agreed. It's all his fault. Now it's either us or him. We can't coexist. Now he's bullying us. It's time to teach him a lesson. After saying this, he threw his drink box at the trash, can but missed due to poor aim. He viciously said he wanted to make Ling Yun drop out. After returning home, Zhou Qi wrote a post, completely disregarding any consequences, and clicked publish. The next day at school, Ling Yun called out in the classroom, everyone, please turn in yesterday's English homework. Suddenly looking up, he sensed something was off. Did I not wash my face properly? Because at that moment, all the students were staring at him intently. What was going on? While still puzzled, Chun Xia called him over. With a smug look, he asked, have you seen the school forum? Then pulled out his phone to show Ling Yun. Is this you? He took a look. It was indeed him. He instantly understood what those earlier stares meant. Seeing Ling Yun admit it, classmates' gossip instincts were triggered. They all asked who that person was and how they met. He said, I don't know him. Nobody believed that. Someone immediately retorted, how could someone you don't know buy you clothes? Who are you trying to fool? Although no one believed him, he still explained, I bought the clothes with my own money. Believe it or not. Seeing the gossip atmosphere building up, Zhou Qi made a sarcastic comment. Girls doing this kind of thing nowadays. What's the big deal? Ling Yun angrily demanded. What do you mean by that? Zhou Qi continued his bland mockery. Some people who used to throw away scraps have finally woken up, but poor people can't turn their lives around without a sugar daddy. Ling Yun, holding a stack of English homework, walked to his side and solemnly said, that clothes, I bought it with my own allowance. Zhou Qi enjoyed seeing Ling Yun's frustrated look and challenged again. Hit me if you dare. But Ling Yun didn't get angry. Instead, he calmly said, how dare you judge others when you dress like an old lady every day? After hearing this, the classmates couldn't help but burst into laughter. You trash, Ling Yun. Stop acting, followed by a slap. While the classmates were engrossed in the drama, no one expected the conflict to escalate directly to physical violence. Ling Yun still restrained himself from fighting back, trying to reason. What makes you think you have the privilege to hit people? Zhou Qi didn't buy into this at all. He put his hand on Ling Yun's forehead and pushed hard. Before he could react, he was pushed to the ground, his head hitting squarely against the desk. Zhou Qi was still shouting, I'm hitting you because you're trash. Who dares to object? Don't think I don't know you're not paying attention in class. Just drawing useless things. I suggest you just go home. At this moment, Wu Mufeng pulled the notebook from Zhou Qi's hand, warning him not to touch it. Hearing Wu Mufeng's intention to help Ling Yun, Zhou Qi advised him to mind his own business. I asked for this notebook first. You can't touch it. And were you the one who posted those photos on the school forum? Zhou Qi looked guilty after hearing this. The classmates started gossiping about him. He stammered, I'm not that free to stalk him. Do you really want me to reveal everything? I'll give you one more chance. At this crucial moment, Chun Xia interrupted. All of you, shut up. Just then, the teacher said, why aren't you reciting your lessons? What's all this commotion about? Everyone quieted down. The teacher glanced around and asked curiously, why isn't Fang Xiaomei here today? After the teacher left, Chun Xia walked up to Zhou Qi and coldly said, come with me. The two stood face to face in the hallway. Chun Xia asked Zhou Qi, you spread the rumors about Fang Xiaomei, didn't you? Zhou Qi, exposed, suddenly felt guilty. Chun Xia couldn't understand why he would do such a thing. Zhou Qi clenched his fists and shouted angrily, he's just a liar. Then he questioned Chun Xia, don't you think so too? He always acts like he's rich, but actually relies on that old man. Chun Xia wanted to say something in Fang Xiaomei's defense, but was interrupted. Don't mention him anymore. If I were him, after such a big incident, I wouldn't have the face to come back to school. He then put his hand on Chun Xia's shoulder. We're the real friends, right? At this moment, Ling Yun recalled that after that incident, Fang Xiaomei suddenly disappeared one day and didn't come to school for several days. He hadn't paid much attention at the time and stood there lost in thought. Suddenly, a pink notebook hit his head. What are you spacing out about? Looking back at Wu Mufeng, who had already walked away, he suddenly felt that recent events seemed familiar, but somehow different. People often have such illusions. Ling Yun walked to Wu Mufeng's desk. Have you ever had someone you didn't pay much attention to suddenly enter your world? Not knowing how to answer, Wu Mufeng lowered his head to look at Ling Yun's design draft and changed the subject. I think this style is pretty good too. Just then, Ling Yun noticed a shadowy figure sneaking away by the window. He thought class was about to start. Could Chun Xia be trying to skip? Sure enough, a hand was struggling to climb up, trembling but unable to reach the top of the wall, still shouting, "I don't believe I can't get over this." Chun Xia grimaced and tried again, but it was useless. Not only did he fail to get over, but he also fell hard on his bottom. Looking up, he saw Ling Yun and became furious. "What are you doing here?" Ling Yun, not angry, reached out to Chun Xia and asked, "Are you going to find Fang Xiaomei? Here, step on me to get up." He stepped up without hesitation but still lacked strength. He told Ling Yun to push harder. Ling Yun's face contorted from the weight. "Can't you lose some weight? You're too heavy." After helping Chun Xia up, Ling Yun swiftly jumped onto the wall and leaped over. After landing, both their heads were covered in green leaves. There seemed to be a bit of understanding between them this time, and they didn't oppose each other. Both bent down and secretly walked towards the main road. Once on the road, Ling Yun and Chun Xia started running quickly. While running, Ling Yun asked, "Do you know where Fang Xiaomei is?" Chun Xia replied, "I should know." Suddenly he stopped and said to Ling Yun, "You seem different." Yes, everything has changed now. A few hours earlier, Chun Xia and Zhou Qi were walking on the street. Thinking about Fang Xiaomei's expression and Zhou Qi's words, Chun Xia suddenly realized that their actions might have been too much. Meanwhile, on the other side, Fang Xiaomei wore the orange dress the older man bought her, holding those high heels in her hands. She stood by the lake and angrily threw the shoes in. The impact caused a big splash in the lake. She stood barefoot on the lawn, with a blue dress hanging on her arm. That dress was the one Zhou Qi had asked if she liked when they went shopping before. She bought it intending to give it to Zhou Qi, but now it seemed pointless. Fang Xiaomei angrily threw the blue dress into the lake. Crying hysterically, she cursed, "To hell with it. Friends are all lies." She then took off the ring from her finger, looked at it for a moment, and was about to throw it into the lake with all her might. But before she could, someone grabbed her wrist. Before she could turn around to look, that person covered her mouth and nose. Her eyes widened in terror. The next second, the ring fell to the ground. Xiaomei lost her balance and was dragged away forcefully. On a pedestrian street in the early 90s, a woman was walking with an innocent little girl. They hadn't spoken a word to each other. Little Xiaomei's eyes suddenly became incredibly bright. Her big eyes stared unblinkingly ahead. This beautiful blue dress had always been her fantasy. But her mother just glanced at it casually and said in an annoyed tone, "This shabby dress is so expensive. Wait until you find a rich man to buy it for you." Obviously, little Xiaomei felt hurt. Her fair, tender hand wiped away tears. Her mother let go of her small hand and turned away without looking back. Xiaomei suddenly woke from her dream. Her long eyelashes concealed the sadness in her eyes, but tears were about to fall, giving her no chance to react. Uncle Luan Hui was driving quietly, but his peripheral vision was fixed on her. His glasses flashed with a dark glint as he asked in an extremely flat tone, "Are you awake?" Xiaomei's face suddenly showed increasing fear. Her whole body started trembling from nervousness. She tried to speak while shaking, but couldn't make a sound. So she stopped struggling internally and her mind started working quickly. Her small hand quietly unbuckled the seatbelt. Uncle Lu seemed indifferent, but looked somewhat displeased. He quietly curved his lips into an evil smile, then mockingly asked if she had a death wish. At this moment, Xiaomei wanted to be 10 meters away from him, but the car was too small. "Can you let me go? We have no relationship anymore." How could Uncle Lu let her be so free? Obviously, he wouldn't do that. "If you say we have no relationship, then what about all the things I bought you?" The little girl opened her teary eyes wide. "Weren't the things you gave me voluntary? Besides, I don't need you anymore." Uncle Lu laughed softly upon hearing this. His large hand quietly lifted her chin, his mocking smile becoming more severe. "I advise you not to be so selfish. I still need you." Meanwhile, The two young girls ran quickly to a quiet place. They were both panting heavily from running so excitedly. Chunxia suddenly pointed forward, her voice sweet as she said, "Look, that's our secret base over there." Lingyan squinted while looking ahead. Just then his mouth twitched a few times. Indeed, he couldn't help but think sarcastically that this was clearly just a public place. Just then, a strange sound came from behind them. Lingyan suddenly looked back. His round eyes became somewhat blank, and his body involuntarily stiffened. Chunxia quickly rushed forward to examine the dress in the lake. Clearly, this dress looked familiar, like the one Xiaomei had just shown them. She picked up the clothes from the lake. Her small hands kept feeling the traces on it. This was what Xiaomei bought just last month. Could it be that she had disappeared? Ling Yun was also very uncomfortable inside, but he still suggested calling the police first. Just then he noticed something shiny, so he quickly ran over to pick it up. At this moment, he realized his racing, crazy heartbeat. This thing definitely belonged to Xiaomei. Xiao opened her mouth in shock. Her mind inevitably started imagining. Xiaomei had fallen into the water, and after some time with no one discovering her, she had drowned and fallen unconscious, sinking beneath. While imagining this, she took off her outer coat. Her expression suddenly darkened. Ling Yun, as if seeing something, rushed toward her like a madman. He grabbed Xia's arm, his voice trembling uncontrollably. "What are you trying to do?" There's no evidence that Xiaomei fell into the river. He helplessly spread his hands, his eyes full of determination. "Even if she fell in, it's too late now. I won't let you go into the river alone." Xia had already become very fragile. Her voice was like an injured rabbit's, with crystal-clear tears in her eyes. "I just don't want my friend to leave me." Meanwhile, the captured Xiaomei suddenly grabbed Uncle's steering wheel. The chaos in her mind made him unhappy, leading to such a bold move. Uncle Lu certainly wouldn't let her continue this nonsense. He suddenly stretched out his arm and slapped Xiaomei's face with a loud smack, shouting angrily, "Stop messing around!" Xiaomei fearfully stepped back, clutching the car window. Her expression became increasingly defiant, looking at Uncle Lu as if he were garbage. "You'd better let me go now. Do you know who my friend is? She's the police chief's daughter." But Uncle Lu grabbed her shoulders. "Thanks to that little sister, I found out about your secret base." He suddenly leaned down, pressing against the little girl, holding her firmly in his arms. His large palm caressed her cheek. "Good girl, don't try to get out of this." Xiaomei naturally wanted to get away quickly, but the man wouldn't give her the chance. He quickly kissed her. The car by the roadside began to shake. The little girl's cries for help sounded weak until the man let out a painful groan. He finally withdrew his large hand from the girl, wiping away blood from the corner of his mouth. Behind his thick glasses, the man's expression showed as he said, "Are you trying to die?" The little girl certainly didn't have his strength. She could only let him grip her neck, making it difficult for her to breathe. Obviously, she still had some wit. Her small toes reached for the steering wheel, causing a piercing horn to sound. Taking advantage of the man's slight distraction, her small hands forcefully opened the car door. Her body hit the ground hard, making it painful to get up, but she definitely wouldn't miss this chance to escape. She got up and ran frantically, completely ignoring the crazed man behind her. Yuan Hui, seeing he couldn't keep up physically, switched to using the car. He drove onto the pedestrian street, ignoring all the passersby, and shouted angrily, "Watch me run you over." Xiaomei was blocked in front, leaving her no room to escape. Uncle Yu got out of the car darkly. Step by step, he slowly approached her. She forcefully shook off the man's arm and begged others for help. But Uncle Lu kept pressing forward, giving her no chance to recover. But she didn't care what others thought. Her slender finger pointed at Uncle Lu. "You all saw it, right? He just tried to run me over with his car. I really don't know him." Uncle Lu grabbed her wrist directly and sincerely explained to everyone, "She's mentally unstable. I just wanted to take her out for some fun today." Xiaomei was already crying pitifully like rain. She looked at the diverse crowd across from her and couldn't help but curse, "You fools! Why won't you believe me?" The passers-by were suddenly speechless. Their eyes mixed with a hint of sympathy as they muttered, "Indeed, an ill-mannered lunatic." She seemed unaware of how inappropriate these words were. Her small eyes flickered with a pleading look. Her little hand reached out toward the pedestrians. "What will it take for you to believe me?" Xiaomei didn't get any help from the pedestrians. Instead, she was labeled as crazy. She was locked in the car again by the man. No matter how frantically she pounded, she couldn't break through the hard car window. She had actually fallen into a state of depression. It felt like she would never see tomorrow's sun. But then the car door behind her opened, and she received a ray of hope. Yuan Hui had been arrested and couldn't escape from the police's restraints. Seeing this, Xiaomei finally let out a quiet sigh of relief. The police took her back to take her statement, but their expression became somewhat serious. Looking at the silent girl before them, they anxiously began questioning. "What is your relationship with Yuan Hui?" The little girl hurriedly stated she didn't know him. Pretending to be very nervous, she carefully looked at the police officer. "Can I go to the bathroom first?" The police didn't think twice when dealing with the little girl. They agreed to her request almost instantly. They let her outside and personally pointed out the bathroom to her. Watching the little girl's rapidly retreating figure, they were momentarily stunned for a few seconds. That's when they realized they'd been tricked by a little kid, no less. So they quickly went to search for the girl. After passing through several quiet corridors, they finally found one of her slippers. Fang Xiaomei had already run out of the police station. Out of breath, she seemed unable to stop. There appeared to be something more important waiting for her to handle. Meanwhile, two little girls standing by the river, their thin bodies buffeted by the gentle wind. Ling Yan felt a bit worried inside. The police should find Xiaomei, right? She awkwardly turned her back, her sweet voice suddenly becoming hoarse. "Why do you hate me so much? Why do you see me as a thorn in your side?" Chun Xia put her hands in her pockets and slowly walked forward. Her eyes flickered slightly. "For me, it was purely to become friends with those two." Lin Yun showed extreme incomprehension. Her small hands clenched into fists. "You're just being an accomplice." Chun Xia laughed awkwardly, offering no further explanation. Director Li slammed the table with a bang, angrily pointing at the two people in front. "Where did you go when you skipped class?" "Lin Yun, you speak first." A voice rang in little Ling Yun's heart, suggesting she couldn't reveal this secret. So she raised her head neither humbly nor arrogantly, explaining in a clear voice that she didn't know. Director Li was both angry and frustrated. He could only lean against the window to calm his anger. "Where is Fang Xiaomei? Why isn't she with you?" Before the two could answer, another person entered the office. Walking forward in high heels, they began reporting in an extremely gentle voice. "No one has seen Fang Xiaomei." Director Li gave the order. "Call their parents." Chun Xiao's father arrived first on the scene. He burst through the door and rushed to his precious daughter's side. He shook his precious daughter's shoulders forcefully. "Where did you all go? Don't you know how dangerous the world is now? Ling Yun skipping class is one thing, but why did you take our Xia along?" Chen's father went to Director Li's side to explain. "My precious daughter is very well behaved. If she skipped class, it must be due to environmental influences." Director Li rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "You're Chen Xiao's father, right? Your daughter has been having quite a few problems lately. I didn't expect her to skip class today." Chun Xia was the first to climb over the wall and leave school. The academic affairs office welcomed another parent who walked in very worried. They kept apologizing to Teacher Chun for being late. Teacher Chun spoke directly. Ling Yun and Chun Xia skipped class and were discovered by staff near Stone Bridge. As for what they did, neither of them will say. Director Li stated that Ling Yun's grades were good at first, but had recently declined severely. Both parents should pay more attention to their children. Chun Xia forms cliques at school and consistently ranks at the bottom of the class. Ling Yun's mother caught the underlying meaning. "What's going on here? Is our Ling Yun being bullied at school? What exactly is happening?" A student burst into the classroom, raising their hand to attract attention. Their colleague shouted frantically, "Something's wrong." There was trouble at the highest point of the school building's rooftop. Two frail girls were standing there. Below, the entire school's teachers and students had gathered, staring in disbelief at the hostage situation above. Director Li anxiously pushed through the crowd of students, ignoring their annoyed glares. He angrily shouted up at Fang Xiaomei. "What are you trying to do? We could talk about anything slowly. Think about what you're doing. The whole school is watching." But Fang Xiaomei didn't care about his words. "This is exactly what I want." She moved the knife closer to the girl's neck, shouting loudly. "The apology must be bigger. Everyone needs to hear it." The little girl was clearly someone who knew when to bend. She closed her eyes and screamed frantically. "It was me. I was the one who spread the rumors slandering Xiaomei." Lin Yun's mother stepped forward to persuade, saying this little girl should be forgiven. "She's already apologized. Why are you still holding on to this?" Fang Xiaomei sneered contemptuously. With a mother like you, no wonder your daughter gets bullied at school. Chun Xia immediately defended her. We were looking for you. Ling Yun and I went all the way to Stonebridge. If it weren't for that, parents wouldn't have been called. Fang Xiaomei's hand holding the knife paused slightly. Tears quietly welled up in her eyes, but she remained stubborn. Who asked you to meddle? Teacher Chen had already called Fang Xiaomei's mother. Can you come to school now? Her mother retorted irritably. Whatever it is, just have her tell me over the phone. So Teacher Chun tried to pass the phone over, reminding her it was her mother calling. Fang Xiaomei had long lost hope in her family and directly expressed she didn't want to listen. The voice on the phone was so harsh that everyone winced uncomfortably. Ling Yun looked at Fang Xiaomei and said, "You're just like her, saying hurtful things." Fang Xiaomei's expression was full of grief and anger. Her sharp eyes glared at everyone. "I was wrong about you before, but stay out of this." Ling Yun quietly walked forward. "When you grow up and look back at what's happening now, you'll find it laughable." Fang Xiaomei stepped back several steps, shouting, "Don't lecture me." The little girl had been brought to the edge of the rooftop, her voice filled with desperation. "I've already apologized. What more do you want?" Fang Xiaomei gave a cold laugh. "Then let me apologize in advance too." Then they both fell, ignoring the desperate screams of those below, like a harsh lesson from reality. Yulin Middle School was in chaos. Police cars and ambulances arrived at the scene. Crowds of people rushed in to see what happened. Ling Yun looked up at the teaching building. Usually, such a fall would result in death or severe injury, but doctors said Fang Xiaomei and Zhou Qiqi's injuries weren't serious. It was a miracle. Zhou Qiqi was making a fuss in the hospital. "It's all that bitch Fang Xiaomei's fault. She made me fall from the building." Zhou's father was displeased with his daughter's accusations. He scolded her with a serious expression. "This is all your own doing." By now, Fang Xiaomei had regained consciousness. She looked at the two people caring for her, feeling touched inside. "But why isn't Ling Yun here?" Ling Yun's mother smiled gently. "I sent her home. No need for her to be here, causing trouble." Fang Xiaomei remained venomous as usual. She turned her head away. "Instead of caring about other people's children, you should take better care of your own daughter." Teacher Chun, seeing the situation becoming awkward, patted Ling Yun's mother's shoulder and whispered, "Let me handle this." Ling Yun's mother seemed hurt inside, her gentle eyes filled with sadness. "Then I'll leave it to you, Teacher Chun." She handed the medicine to Teacher Chun. "Apply this with gauze on the swollen areas. Take this twice a day, according to the instructions." Hearing these caring instructions, Fang Xiaomei had already begun crying silently, but her pride wouldn't let her sob out loud. Ling Yun's mother gently patted her back. "Annie will go now. If you need help from the teacher or Annie, just call me." After everyone left the room, Fang Xiaomei finally rubbed her swollen eyes. "I'm sorry and thank you." Unexpectedly, Ling Yun's mother hadn't left. She turned back to look at the little girl on the hospital bed, her voice carrying a hint of tenderness. "You're welcome to come to Annie's house for braised pork anytime." Fang Xiaomei stopped pretending not to hear. She quietly turned her head to look at this mother and gave a very plain Ling Yun left for school with a piece of bread in her mouth. Fragments of memories flashed through her mind. Although Fang Xiaomei had agreed, she never once came to their house. It was said she had taken a leave from school. Fang Xiaomei's sudden departure was inevitable after all. Ling Yun didn't want to sink into sadness, so she returned home very late that day. At this rate, everything would repeat itself again. She frantically ran to the kitchen, seeing her mother cheerfully holding up a spatula. Her mother looked at her daughter with curved eyes. "We're having braised pork tonight." Ling Yun said she could finish her homework before dinner. Her mother put down the spatula, raised her fist, and cheerfully encouraged her daughter. She suddenly scratched her head in frustration. "Dad has been acting strange lately. Wu Mufeng's school concert is the day after tomorrow, but it feels like something's missing." As she was thinking hard, a flash of inspiration hit her. Maybe looking at magazines would give her some ideas. While flipping through magazines, a small animal diary fell out, making her recall past scenes. "You can write what you want to tell Mom in here, and Mom will write what she wants to tell you." It was a popular trend back then called exchange diary. Ling Yun had forgotten what movie they watched that sparked their interest in exchange diaries. But it was rare to see what she was like as a child. She opened the diary under the desk lamp, her expression full of nostalgia. She hadn't expected that she and her mother were so passionate back then. By now her mother had finished cooking. She lowered her head, slowly pulled out a chair, and stared deeply at the braised pork. "Is Dad not coming home again tonight?" Her mother looked at her precious daughter lovingly. He went to Wenzhou for business. Lingyun suddenly told her mother, I used to be bullied at school. Her mother immediately stood up, her loving gaze turning gloomy, instantly losing her appetite despite the delicious food. Lingyun quickly tried to calm her angry mother, placing her small hand on her mother's shoulder. She thought about how to comfort her. Don't be angry. It won't happen again. She reached for the braised pork with her chopsticks, ready to enjoy it, but her mother pushed the plate aside. Lingyun's gaze became completely blank, her lips curving into an awkward smile. She looked at her mother in disbelief. What are you doing? Her mother's expression was full of displeasure, her beautiful eyebrows tightly furrowed. Don't eat the braised pork. Do you deserve all the braised pork you've eaten? Lingyun could only helplessly rub her forehead, quietly closing her clear eyes. Mom is right. While I was trying my best to save others, there was someone silently protecting me in their own clumsy way. Since the jumping incident at school, Zhou Qiqi had transferred schools, and Feng Xiaomei hadn't returned. Other students continued attending classes as usual, until a crisp bell rang. Lingyun slowly walked out of the classroom. She happened to meet Qing Xiao passing by, and they inevitably exchanged glances. Wu Mufeng suddenly bumped into her arm, his peach blossom eyes looking at the girl in front. What are you standing around for? Quick, gather at the small auditorium entrance. Zhang Yi came before everyone with his loud voice, his expression growing increasingly excited. All 800 tickets are sold out. The ticket checking work will be up to you. The two girls expressed they didn't want to do this, but Zhang Li simply pushed them away. It was clearly his work, yet he handed it over to them. The tickets being distributed at the auditorium entrance were for the Travelers Band. Surprisingly, the tickets were only 50 cents, making people exclaim it might as well have been free. Zhang Li suddenly squeezed between the two beautiful girls, casually explaining it was their first time and they lacked experience. He solemnly promised them that next time they would definitely price it at 1 yuan. Without waiting for their weak complaints, he suddenly darted off like a duck. I'll leave maintaining order to you guys. I'm going to secure spots in the front row. At that moment, someone appeared behind them, dressed extremely mysteriously. Wearing a black hat, wrapped up tightly, only their tall figure vaguely revealed it was a man. He didn't waste words with anyone, silently took the ticket from his hand, and then drew a checkmark on it. This series of actions left him stunned. He stared blankly at this man until he had smoothly turned and left, only then gradually coming back to his senses. That must have been someone from outside the school. Chun Xian nodded confidently. Whenever our school has events, elderly folks from the surrounding parks always come. They decided to stop overthinking and entered the small auditorium. The surrounding aisles were packed with people, leaving no space for walking. The atmosphere on stage instantly heightened. The four members skillfully took their positions on different parts of the stage. Then the lights suddenly blazed on, and the Travelers Band immediately opened the curtain. Elderly ladies in the audience held glow sticks, their lips carrying smiles from their youth, listening to the songs from the stage. Everyone was immersed in the moment. Wu Mufeng, as the band's lead vocalist, had a captivating and enchanting voice. He hummed his songs with closed eyes, gradually becoming lost in the music. Zhang Di suddenly became excited, gesturing wildly, one hand gripping his friend's shoulder in excitement. Just thinking that he wrote these lyrics made him feel proud. Ling Yun pondered silently in the audience. No one had mentioned anything about the costumes. Could it be that after 10 years, people's aesthetics would be completely different from now? As the performers finished and walked off stage, they all looked somewhat tired. Wu Mufeng approached the girl first. Why haven't you gone home yet? A drop of cold sweat appeared on Ling Yun's face as she recalled the packed crowd. She had been so squeezed in that she couldn't break free. How could she have left in that situation? So she waved the broom in her hand. The auditorium is such a mess. If teachers find out, they'll come after you tomorrow morning. Wu Mufeng directly grabbed the broom from her hand, staring at her seriously. We can't let you handle this alone. Zhang De suddenly raised his arm high and shouted, I'll help too. Everyone's eyes turned to him, while Wu Mufeng seemed slightly annoyed. With a bonk sound, Zhang was lightly tapped on the head with the stick. The captain's dissatisfied voice rang out. This mess happened because you misunderstood the release schedule. With everyone's joint effort, the small auditorium was cleaned spotlessly. Maybe tomorrow the homeroom teacher would even award them a flag of merit. Smiles spread throughout the auditorium. 7 people, each different in their own way, yet gathered together. This was their unique youth. Zhang Le felt the atmosphere was good. He suddenly stood up, facing everyone. How about I treat everyone to skewers today? The teammates enthusiastically raised their hands and opened their loud voices, cheering warmly for the upcoming barbecue. The group arrived at the skewer shop near the school gate. The surrounding seats were almost full with people. The noisy chatter everywhere undoubtedly proved the shop's reputation. Zhang Lu ate a skewer to build up courage, then calmed his nervous heart. Actually, there's something I haven't told everyone. While speaking, he apologetically bowed to everyone. I'm really sorry. I made a decision on my own and invited teacher Qiao Rui to watch your concert. The redhead immediately shook his head in disbelief, bursting into laughter. How would teacher Qiao Rui come to watch our concert? But seeing Zhang Li's serious expression, they all began to doubt the truth of this matter. You mean Xiao Ren, the judge from the Amazing Band show? He nodded slightly at their words. You're not angry? I hope we can participate in that show. Teacher Qiao came and went without a trace, but he did send me a text message. He pulled out his small phone from his pants pocket, fingers operating quickly. It only displayed one phrase, concert. I saw that no one understood the meaning of his words. They all showed puzzled expressions. All their heads together couldn't match one Zhuge Liang, so they all sat down to enjoy the delicious skewers. During this relaxing moment, Wu Mufeng quietly leaned towards Ling Yun's ear and softly whispered a thank you. Ling Yun's eyes suddenly widened, her breath slightly halting. For the first time, she felt it was really good to be back at this moment. In Class 2-3's English lesson, Ling Yun was listening attentively when, unexpectedly, a note flew to her desk. Without thinking, she passed it to the classmate in front, then leaned forward to whisper in their ear, "This note is for Wu Mufeng." The male student naturally took it, lightly poking Wu Mufeng's back with his pinky finger. He put his hand near his mouth, saying this note is from Ling Yun. Time quickly passed to after school. Zhang was anxiously waiting at Peace Park, constantly blaming himself. It was his fault for not writing the meeting time. Just then, he heard footsteps. His previously calm eyes suddenly became incredibly bright. At that moment, his heart began to race wildly, but he quickly stopped smiling. His bright eyes suddenly turned to surprise. Wu Mufeng was also confused about this. Unexpectedly, the person before them was Zhang Le. Wu Mufeng looked at him expressionlessly, his cold eyes quietly sizing up Zhang Le. After being stunned for a moment, he couldn't help but ask, "Have you seen Ling Yun?" Zhang Lu immediately broke into a cold sweat, his body becoming tense. "Of course I haven't seen her. What is Ling Yun up to?" Wu Mufeng broke the awkward atmosphere first. "We've already finished revising your model lyrics. If you're free, you can come listen." After Wu Mufeng had completely left, Zhang Lu helplessly rubbed his head. The person who should come didn't, and the person who shouldn't come did. In Class 2-3's classroom, someone suddenly slammed their hand on the desk, making a violent noise. Then he grabbed the girl opposite him, his long, strong fingers gripping tightly, and nervously explained in a low voice, "Come with me for a moment." The surrounding classmates kept remarking, "Ling Yun is really busy lately. How did she manage to make even the good-tempered Zhang Lu angry?" Just then, Zhang Lu, who was being discussed by his classmates, suddenly let out a heavy sneeze. It immediately dissipated some of his anger. Ling Yun stood dumbfounded opposite him. She expressed concern very plainly. "Are you catching a cold?" Zhang Lu, steam coming from his head, replied furiously, "It's all because of you." He quickly adjusted his mood, his long fingers secretly clenching. "The note I passed to you yesterday, did you see it or not?" Ling Yun blinked in confusion, her beautiful long hair swaying as she moved. "Of course I saw it. I helped pass it along." Wu Mufeng Zhang Lu angrily tightened his arms, his mouth opening and closing, not knowing what to say. So he decided to just spill it out. "That note was for you." This made Ling Yun so embarrassed she wanted to disappear. She couldn't help but blurt out a curse. "I gave that to Wu Mufeng." The hairpin on her forehead became very animated, just like her bright eyes at that moment. But she still couldn't understand what this person was thinking. Being so mysterious. What's this all about? Zhang Li's encouraged heart felt somewhat defeated. The butterflies in his stomach, because of her, were known only to him. How would he explain this matter? Zhang Li finally called the show's number to ask if their band could appear on the program. When the call connected, he couldn't help feeling nervous. He He politely asked, "What do you think? Wasn't it pretty good?" But the administrator directly rejected them. "I'm very sorry, but we're not planning to have the band on the show." Hearing this, Zhang-Lu immediately panicked. His voice uncontrollably grew louder as he anxiously asked, "Is there something we're not good enough at?" But the administrator seemed uncomfortable. "Do you know about Pearl Band?" Zhang-Lu naturally knew them. The other side said something shocking. "Would you like to collaborate with them?" The next day at school, Zhang-Lu told them about these things. Ling Yun saw his hesitant attitude and knew he was somewhat wavering, but she still paused for a moment. Without beating around the bush, she directly asked him if he had agreed. She was still happy for her friend. Pearl Band was quite good. Zhang-Lu was somewhat surprised, not expecting this attitude. He nodded honestly. He thought the same way, so he had already agreed to their offer. However, he was now in a difficult position, which was why he came to consult with Ling Yun. He really didn't know how to tell Wu Mufeng and the others, or how to explain it. In the end, it was Ling Yun who came up with a good solution. Be honest and explain everything clearly to everyone. They would all understand. So, they went to the music classroom together. As soon as Zhang-Lu arrived, he bowed and apologized to everyone. "I was bewitched when I agreed to it." His classmates were understanding. "It's not a big deal. Why keep apologizing? You're acting like a criminal. We're indeed not professional enough yet. Go to Pearl Band. You can learn quite a lot." He nudged the person beside him. The classmate next to him nodded repeatedly. Then he couldn't help but turn his head, carefully looking at the person behind. Wu Mufeng hadn't said a word since the beginning. He had clearly heard everything, but refused to speak. Instead, he picked up the nearby guitar and started playing, as if he didn't care about the matter at all. The classmate turned his head with a serious expression, asking Wu Mufeng uncertainly, "Did you hear? Zhang-Lu is going to collaborate with Pearl Band." Hearing the question, Wu Mufeng remained unusually silent for a moment. Then in a cold tone, he said, "Wish you all the best." Zhang-Lu received his blessing and smiled happily. Then he bowed deeply to everyone again, expressing his gratitude once more. "Thank you all so much." Seeing him like this, a classmate jokingly stepped forward. Like good brothers, he patted his shoulder and hugged him, saying, "If you get rich and famous, don't forget us. Don't just stand there. Let's go downstairs and buy some sodas." All the classmates gradually left, but Wu Mufeng still sat there dazed, lost in thought. Ling Yun watched him for a while. He remained motionless. She curiously moved closer, tilting her head to carefully observe his expression. Coming back to his senses, he was startled by the girl and asked puzzledly, "What are you doing?" Ling Yun stared at him thoughtfully. "Are you a bit unhappy?" Wu Mufeng was instantly hit where it hurt and turned his head away embarrassedly. Seeing his behavior, Ling Yun suddenly remembered the Wu Mufeng from before. He used to shine on stage, holding a microphone and singing, capturing everyone's attention. Thinking of this, Ling Yun couldn't help but smile and comfort him. "It's okay. There will be more opportunities in the future." She believed in Wu Mufeng because he had the ability. But Wu Mufeng clearly wasn't as optimistic. He put down his guitar and walked to the windowsill, sarcastically saying, "A temporary band is just for fun anyway." His face was dark, and he remained silent in his low mood. Ling Yun hadn't expected him to think this way, and hurriedly waved her hands awkwardly. "That's not what I meant." Ling Yun recalled many years ago, when she was sitting on the couch watching TV, seeing reporters interviewing Wu Mufeng. He was very popular and famous at the time, but she vaguely remembered that interview. Now it's the fan Q&A session. Miss Snail asks, "What is your biggest regret currently?" Although Wu Mufeng's face was expressionless, you could see from his eyes that he was very sad. "My biggest regret is the disbanding of my first high school band." Soon, the teacher announced that due to college entrance exams, the school would be closing the exam venues. During these holidays, students should manage their time well and complete their homework. Meanwhile, at the TV station entrance, Ling Yun was waiting early. Soon a black car drove past her. After confirming the vehicle, she quickly ran after it. She kept running, trying to stop the black car. While driving, the driver looked in the rearview mirror and suddenly noticed her, becoming somewhat nervous. Following like this on the road was too dangerous, so he quickly told the person in the back seat, "There seems to be a student following the car. Should we pull over?" When Ling Yun saw the car stop, she was bent over, catching her breath from exhaustion. Soon the back window rolled down. Teacher Chiao turned his head and asked puzzledly, "Young lady, do you need something?" She quickly approached and politely greeted Teacher Chiao. "I'm from Yulin Middle School. were you at the Traveler Band's concert that day? Teacher Chow quickly guessed his intention and seriously declined. If you're here about that band's competition entry, you should go back now. Ling Yun became even more confused. She asked surprisingly, "Why is that? Since you want to listen, it means the band must have something that attracted you." He couldn't help but scratch his chin awkwardly. Frowning, he guessed, "You must have known about the band before. This couldn't be just your personal quirk, right?" Hearing this, Teacher Chow didn't take offense and just laughed heartily. "Since you figured out so much, why come ask me?" Ling Yun frowned and asked seriously, "I just want to know why the Traveler Band can't participate in the competition. I really want to try one more time." But Ling Yun eventually went home. On the bus ride home, looking at all the bustling students, college entrance exams were the hottest topic this time of year. She thoughtfully gazed out the window. These thousands of examinees were like carps trying to leap over the dragon gate to find their future. But Ling Yun's thoughts were different from most people. She stared blankly upward, questioning, "Is this really the only path to success?" She couldn't help but recall what Teacher Chow had said. In fact, the Traveler Band had prepared to compete, but parents objected during preparation, prioritizing academics after all. After a while, Ling Yun returned home. She took out her keys to open the door, while children played and laughed in the corridor. She froze at the doorway, thinking uncontrollably. If it were you 10 years ago, you would have done the same thing, right? She kept asking herself. Finally, Ling Yun made up her mind. She vaguely had an answer in her heart. Just as she entered home, she saw a note thoughtfully left by her mom on the table. "I have a class reunion today, and we'll be home late. Don't forget the food is in the pot." Ling Yun returned to her room with a heavy heart and finally made a phone call. Her fingers kept twirling the phone cord, obviously nervous. The call was quickly answered. "I'm looking for Wu Mufeng." Surprisingly, it was him who answered. Hearing the familiar voice, Wu Mufeng asked puzzledly if there was something wrong. Ling Yun said directly, "Go compete. Join that magical band." Meanwhile, at Wu Mufeng's house, he stood holding the receiver for a good 10 minutes, not saying a word. But eventually he refused. Ling Yun hadn't expected this answer and wanted to persuade him more, probing. "You put so much into forming the band. Surely it wasn't just for fun?" Wu Mufeng's next response was disappointing. He coldly said, "It's purely entertainment," and didn't want to say more. He couldn't help it, but Ling Yun wouldn't give up and wanted to try again. "That's not true. You never applied for the competition." Wu Mufeng didn't want to question how she knew this. Instead, he interrupted her directly. "Stop doing these unnecessary things." He frowned uncontrollably, shouting angrily, "You don't know anything." Ling Yun disagreed and wanted to argue that this wasn't unnecessary. But before she could finish, Wu Mufeng had already hung up. Not expecting this outcome, she stood there stunned. She recalled how she used to live in her own world, never caring about unrelated matters. That's why she ended up being bullied at school. But this time, she absolutely wouldn't sit idle. Ling Yun clenched her fist tightly. This time she would persist. She wouldn't leave regrets for the future. So she wrote several letters by hand. The next day at school, classmates unanimously said it was useless. They turned away dejectedly, troubled. Just forget it. Even kneeling wouldn't help. Ling Yun was speechless, not believing he would actually kneel. Our parents almost formed an anti-band association over this. Casual entertainment is fine, but this path is absolutely forbidden. They also said that people in bands are just social idlers. Hearing this, Ling Yun couldn't help but laugh. His classmate continued speaking emphatically. "Those who paint, write novels, or want to be directors, they're all considered unserious in my parents' eyes." Ling Yun finally left, pondering these words. Chun Fan passed by, staring at him, but Ling Yun didn't even notice, lost in his own world, mumbling, convincing parents. It's truly a worldwide challenge. Seeing him so distracted, Chun Fan suddenly grabbed him. Ling Yun finally snapped out of it, turning his head in confusion. Chun Fan asked directly, "Have you been busy lately? Are you giving up painting to start a band?" Bombarded with questions, he just shook his head strangely. Seeing Ling Yun say no, Chun Fan relaxed and smiled. "That's more like it. You're so talented at painting. Concerts and such are just for fun, right?" He couldn't help but warn with concern, it's dangerous to do things just for fun. At this time, footsteps were heard from behind. Wu Mufeng coldly shouted, "Hey busybody, come with me." Then he grabbed Ling Yun's wrist, trying to pull him away. But unexpectedly, Chun Fan wouldn't let go either. The three stood there in deadlock. "Why do you always need others' help with your band matters?" Wu Mufeng shot back without backing down. Ling Yun isn't just anyone, he's our band's manager. He said seriously, we're going to participate in the competition. He recalled his parents sitting seriously on the sofa, staring suspiciously at the thick stack of letters on the table, wondering if it was some kind of extortion. When Wu Mufeng was about to leave for school and reach the door, he heard commotion inside and asked his parents what happened. His mother handed him a thick stack of letters, frowning and saying strangely, these were slipped under the door. Looks ominous. Don't know what's written. Wu Mufeng took them. His father looked at the stack of papers, feeling somewhat troubled. There must be about 80 pages here. Impossible to read it all. But the parents read through it anyway and finally understood the situation. They couldn't help feeling sad. Maybe we should give the kids a chance. Wu Mufeng stood watching his parents change in attitude, speechlessly twitching his lips, embarrassed. What is this thing? Some kind of brainwashing? After hearing Wu Mufeng explain everything, Chen Fan finally released Ling Yun's wrist, his face somewhat gloomy. So, that means I'm just playing around? A few days later at the TV studio, the venue was packed. Wu Mufeng and his group finally participated in the competition, shining on stage. The competition soon ended. The host passionately announced on stage, will the last band to enter the top for be Traveler or Tierney Band? He paused dramatically for a few seconds, building suspense, then spread his hands and excitedly shouted, congratulations to Tierney Band for advancing. The audience cheered excitedly. When Wu Mufeng returned to the classroom after the competition, his class 2 to 3 classmates rushed forward excitedly, setting off party poppers and cheering for Traveler Band. He was stunned by the sudden celebration. Though confused, he kindly reminded them, haven't you got it wrong? We didn't advance. The teacher was happy for them and very proud of her students. You did great. We all saw you on TV. You performed wonderfully, didn't you? Hearing the teacher's praise, Wu Mufeng waved his hands embarrassedly. He looked around the classroom, but couldn't find Ling Yun, wondering where he went. Zhang Le came up with a large basket of zongzi, excitedly shouting to his classmates, today is the Dragon Boat Festival. I'm treating everyone to zongzi. My grandmother made these. The classmates instantly scattered and surrounded the zongzi. Wu Mufeng couldn't help but feel embarrassed, thinking to himself how the mood had suddenly changed. Meanwhile, at the school's outdoor basketball court, Ling Yun stood alone on the lawn. Leaning against a tree, he looked at the admission brochure in his hand, worrying about what had just happened. Leo drove to his school and got straight to the point. I've seen your designs. Although you don't have work experience, you're very experienced and have a unique perspective. You're a rare talent. He himself had been doing fashion design for many years and could recite backward the trending elements for the next 10 years. Leo's expression turned serious. But this isn't enough. Hearing this, Ling Yun was surprised. He didn't understand why. So Leo patiently explained the situation. You might become a fashion designer, but this kind of design won't make you a top-tier fashion designer. He wanted to know Ling Yun's thoughts. The girl fell silent for a moment, but responded firmly. I want to become a world-class fashion designer. Leo laughed heartily. Ling Yun thought he was mocking her bold statement and felt embarrassed. Do you think I'm being presumptuous? Young lady, you misunderstand. Leo waved his hands, explaining he didn't mean that. He just admired such courage in young people. While speaking, he pulled something from his pocket. I'm very happy you have such ambition. Then he handed the admission brochure to the girl. Leo's words still echoed in his ears. I admit you have real talent, but to achieve this dream, you still have a long way to go. Ling Yun sat under the tree's shade, head down, staring at the admission brochure in his hands. He recalled Leo's parting words, don't worry about the tuition. He explained with a smile, when I was in the US recently, I recommended you to Professor Dylan at FIT. He really likes your designs, so the tuition will be fully covered. Before leaving, he reminded, no need to rush the decision. I hope you and your family can carefully consider it and give me an answer before summer break ends. Later, Chun Fan returned to the classroom to get something. Passing by Ling Yun's desk, he unexpectedly saw the admission brochure and silently frowned. Another exam week came. The homeroom teacher excitedly clapped her hands, reminding students time was up and to stop writing. Then she started collecting papers. Students packed their bags after finishing, complaining about how difficult the math exam was. But then they realized, when was math ever easy? As Zhang Lu was about to leave school with his backpack, he suddenly heard the security guard calling out, Hey kid, they're all yours again. He curiously turned around. The mailbox was overflowing with love letters. Nearby, Wu Mufeng was surrounded by a group of girls. He hurriedly broke free, walking quickly towards the gate, while people whispered, "Many people have been looking for Wu Mufeng lately. They say they're from talent agencies." Ling Yun returned home and sat on his bed, still looking at the admission brochure. Suddenly, he remembered something. Almost forgot. I need to tell my parents. He recalled it was around the same time before when he almost got to study abroad. So during dinner, Ling Yun carefully explained everything to his parents. Father carefully examined the admission brochure on the table, asking puzzled if it was America or Japan. He worried it might be a scam. Mother also expressed concern. Is this school really reliable? He remembered back then when father had made some money in business. Friends' children were all studying abroad, so they wanted me to study abroad too. But in senior year, Dad's company went bankrupt and the study abroad plans fell through. A few days later at lunch, Mom surprisingly prepared many dishes. The table was full of delicious food, with enticing aromas that made one's mouth water. The smell was so tempting that Ling Yun was almost drooling. His eyes lit up as he asked, "Is Dad coming home today? You've made so many delicious dishes." Mom came over with bowls and chopsticks, looking at him amusingly. "Your dad won't be back for a few days." Ling Yun was confused and wondered if guests were coming. But surprisingly, that wasn't it. Mom explained helplessly, "It's just us two. We're celebrating your academic achievement." Ling Yun was quite surprised. "Are we being this extravagant?" Seeing his confusion, she asked, "Did you earn it with your own ability?" Hearing this, Ling Yun immediately raised his fist and affirmed, "Of course." Halfway through dinner, Ling Yun suddenly remembered, "Didn't Dad say before he left that if I did well, he'd take me to see the monkeys at Mount May?" Seeing Mom couldn't quite remember, Ling Yun hurriedly made a phone call, only to receive bad news. Dad had urgent matters and couldn't go to Mount May. Ling Yun felt disappointed and sighed. Mom, seeing this and not wanting her daughter to be sad, went to change into outdoor clothes and emerged looking pretty. She happily suggested, "If Dad can't make it, I'll go with you." Ling Yun didn't believe it and looked at her skeptically. "Come on, don't. Aren't you too busy with work to go?" But surprisingly, Mom was unusually serious, already changed into hiking clothes. Ling Yun declined, waving her hands. "If we can't go this time, there's always next time. Besides, our class has a hiking activity in a few days." Hearing this, Mom finally took off the clothes and reminded Ling Yun to be careful and stay with the group. "Don't go off alone." Ling Yun looked at her mother helplessly, nodding. Sometimes, she really wished time could freeze in these happy moments. Soon came the school spring tour day. Everyone gathered at the mountain's foot. The teacher held up a red flag, introducing, "This is Blue Book Mountain." Zhang Lu stood lazily, yawning and complaining, "It's too early, there aren't even other tourists." Nearby, Chung Xia was taking photos with his camera, and other students excitedly gathered around. "Is this the latest model? Must be expensive." Zhang Lu yawned and noticed the eye-catching red backpack bulging with contents. He curiously asked Ling Yun what was inside. Before Ling Yun could answer, the teacher clapped her hands and shouted, "Everyone must be careful. No horsing around while climbing. No leaving the group. And don't litter." Soon everyone spread out and started climbing toward the peak. After some time, Ling Yun wasn't sure where she was. She was breathing heavily, sweat rolling down her cheeks, and complained, "Don't tell me I have to carry all this stuff all the way to the top." Chun Fan, walking just above her, heard and turned back, offering, "Let me help you carry it." Hearing this, though sweating profusely, Ling Yun firmly declined. Chun Fan hadn't expected her to refuse even this small help. An awkward silence fell between them. Ling Yun frowned and explained, "These small things are nothing for me." Chun Fan was unusually speechless. He froze for a while, then suddenly turned away, unable to look at her. His voice inevitably became low. "Next semester, I'm going to Yinan." Ling Yun hadn't expected this news. She froze, frowning, looking at him sadly. Chun Fan scratched his head, somewhat embarrassed, saying, "There's a famous training school there. I want to do some intensive study before the exams." Ling Yun couldn't understand. Chun Fan's studies were already great, so what was this about? In senior year, hadn't he always studied here? Wasn't that how he had noticed her? Why was it different this time? What had she changed? She stared at Chun Fan's distant figure, lost in thought. Chun Fan suddenly turned back, smiling at her. "I don't think it's enough. I'm still far behind." Ling Yun began to understand. He wanted to catch up to her. Ling Yun thought he was such a fool. Why would he think that way? But Chun Fan turned back expectantly and asked, "You should understand me, right?" Hearing this, Ling Yun got fired up. "Understand what? You stopped to wait for me. Just to tell me all this?" If it's about the band thing before, I can explain. But before she could finish, Chun Fan gently but firmly interrupted. With rare seriousness, he said, "This is something I've thought through carefully. I need to take responsibility for my own life." Ling Yun was speechless, staring blankly at Chun Fan's retreating figure. She couldn't help but clench her fists. She had never considered what would happen if Chun Fan's destiny really changed. Would she still have a place in his world? Would they gradually lose touch? As Ling Yun fell into deep thought, it suddenly started raining. Ling Yun had to stop and look around, only to realize with dismay that there was no one ahead. She hadn't realized she'd been walking so slowly. Since she was already separated from the group, she didn't want to get soaked. Just then, she remembered the umbrella her mother had packed in her backpack's side pocket. While reaching for the umbrella, she dropped it. As she tried to pick it up, she slipped on the rain-slicked mountain path and began sliding down the slope. She only had time for one scream, closing her eyes in fear. But at that critical moment, someone suddenly appeared and grabbed her wrist tightly. It was Wu Mufeng. He held on to Ling Yun firmly, preventing her fall. Scared and breaking out in cold sweat, he spoke harshly. "Are you trying to get yourself killed?" Then he carefully pulled her up. Ling Yun knew she had been reckless. She laughed sheepishly and changed the subject. What a coincidence. The rain continued falling. Wu Mufeng ignored her comment and held the umbrella over her head. Neither spoke for a moment. As awkwardness filled the air, Wu Mufeng broke the ice, turning to look at Ling Yun, tentatively asking, "Should I carry you if it's too difficult?" Hearing this, Ling Yun bravely limped forward, saying, "Don't joke around." Wu Mufeng stood behind her, watching her struggle up the steps with a limp. Sure enough, the next moment, Ling Yun's shoe slipped and she began falling backward. Wu Mufeng was already prepared. He quickly caught her in his arms. Speaking seriously, he scolded, "Are you going to keep being stubborn?" Then he looked down at her ankle. Ling Yun still joked, "Maybe falling would make me time travel." Wu Mufeng retorted, "You've watched too many TV shows. Your ankle is swollen." But Ling Yun still asked, "What if time travel was really possible?" Wu Mufeng calmly replied, "That would be scary." Seeing Ling Yun's confusion, he supported her arm and explained, "Because if that happened, you would disappear from this time." Ling Yun suddenly realized, "I wonder if I still exist in 2017. But now she didn't want to stay at the mountain base. At the tourist service center, the medical staff bandaged Ling Yun's ankle, reassuring her, "It's just a sprain. It'll heal in a few days." Seeing they hadn't left, the staff kindly asked, "Are you heading back?" "If you're taking the shuttle bus, it comes once every hour." Ling Yun thanked the staff, but declined. "This is a group activity. We'll wait for the others here to avoid worrying them." Mu Yunfeng teased her. "You're in this state and still thinking about the group dinner?" Ling Yun angrily shouted, "That's not it." She couldn't help but recall what had just happened and Chun Fan's serious words. Ling Yun worriedly covered her mouth, her brow furrowed with concern. Seeing them still sitting there, the staff member smiled warmly and said with good service attitude, "I'll let you know when the next shuttle arrives." Just as those words were spoken, the service center's phone suddenly rang. The staff member ran to the front desk and quickly answered. "This is the Scenic Area Service Center." Both of them looked out the window at the cars from Yulin Middle School and Linyu Middle School. Ling Yun's thoughts began to drift. Despite the rain on the mountain, it was only cloudy here. In the small pavilion on Lanshu Mountain, all the students gathered there, separated from their teacher, chattering complaints. Will this rain ever stop? Chun Xiaozhou was getting irritated. He had just made a phone call, saying they were taking shelter in the pavilion ahead. The weather forecast didn't mention rain. If only we'd known to bring umbrellas. Hearing this, Zhang Le couldn't help but smirk. "Nothing we can do about it," he consoled. "It must be some kind of curse." While Chun Xia was waiting around bored, he noticed Chun Fan had brought 2 umbrellas. His eyes lit up as he praised him immediately. "Chun Fan, you're so foresight to bring 2 umbrellas." But Chun Fan showed no courtesy and coldly refused. "I'm holding these for someone else." Hearing this, Chun Xia became instantly furious. Looking for somewhere to vent his anger, he grabbed Zhang Le beside him, clutching his school uniform collar tightly. He shook him aggressively, asking, "When will this rain stop?" Zhang Le shrugged helplessly. "I'm not the rain god. How would I know?" The female classmates nearby were also gloomy. Seeing the dejected atmosphere, they said in unison, "Why hasn't Chun Fan been talking to us lately?" Just then, a blonde girl in a blue dress approached with an umbrella. The students looked at her puzzledly, noting she wasn't from their class. The The blonde girl lowered her umbrella and gradually approached Shin Fan, who was sitting nearby. He looked up blankly, staring at the girl in confusion. He noticed her bright blonde hair and gentle, peaceful face. She asked in a soft voice, "You're Chin Fan, right?" Yesterday morning, a family of 3 was happily eating breakfast. The father excitedly told Ling Yun, "Housing prices aren't too high now, but they've increased quite a bit from last month." Ling Yun nodded confidently, knowing all this clearly. Her father smiled and asked, "Are you some kind of economics expert?" Hearing this, Ling Yun shook her head in confusion. She didn't know any economists, but thought to herself, "It's because I came from 10 years in the future." Her father, munching on toast, mumbled, "Those 2 stocks you mentioned earlier suddenly rose too. I think studying economics would be promising for you." Hearing this, Ling Yun laughed heartily and joked with her father, "Maybe I should study fortune-telling instead." Her father smiled and encouraged her with a fist pump. He spoke seriously, "Dad believes in you, but you have your own choices. If you want to study art, Dad will earn money to fully support you." Noticing that Mom hadn't spoken for a while, Lin Yun keenly sensed something was wrong. She asked concernedly, "Are you feeling unwell? Did you go for the checkup I mentioned before?" Ling Yun asked worriedly. Mom shook her head and just took a sip of warm water. "It's just my old stomach problem. Some medicine will help." Ling Yun's expression immediately turned serious. "You must get checked today." Her father also persuaded, and Mom finally agreed. "You two really won't give up." Soon the family arrived at the hospital. Father was queuing at the outpatient registration while mother and daughter sat in the waiting area, whispering, "You've been acting strange lately. Is there something you can't tell Mom?" Ling Yun sighed. "You wouldn't believe me even if I told you." But Mom remained firm. "How do you know I won't believe if you don't try? I'm worried you've heard rumors and made your father buy houses and stocks." Ling Yun felt helpless with her mother. Looking nervous, she still told the truth. "Would you believe me if I said I came back from 10 years in the future?" Mom was stunned for a moment, but quickly recovered. Smiling, she asked eagerly, "So what's the world like 10 years from now?" Now it was Ling Yun's turn to be surprised. She hadn't expected her mom to believe her so readily. With such good acceptance, she happily told her mom about the world 10 years later. "You won't believe it. Housing prices skyrocket 10 years later, and phones have GPS mapping. Unlike now, you can make hospital appointments on your phone." Mom was happy about the rapid world development, but she was more concerned about her daughter. She gently held her hand and asked, "What about you?" Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh softly. "I'm engaged to someone. Guess who?" Surprisingly, Mom actually tried to guess. She raised a finger wanting to speak, but couldn't, unable to remember. Lin Yun couldn't help but blurt out, "It's Lin Fan, but you don't know him yet." Unexpectedly, Mom mentioned a different name. Finally remembering, she said, "That one who likes to sing, isn't it Wu Mufeng?" Ling Yun was shocked, her face instantly turning red. Covering her mouth, she whispered, asking Mom why her. Mom smiled gently. "Hasn't my daughter always liked her? So, is it her? When did you confess?" Lin Yun recalled that confession day. She remembered Chun Fan asking her out that day, looking at her nervously and seriously, saying, "Will you be my girlfriend?" She quickly corrected her mom, awkwardly smirking, "It wasn't like that. I didn't confess to anyone. Chun Fan confessed to me." Meanwhile, at their house, Chun Fan gently knocked on the door. Seeing no response from inside, he sighed, left the umbrella at the doorstep, and turned to leave the hospital. In the hallway, the doctor looked at the examination report with a serious expression. "This is a gastric ulcer. If not treated promptly, there's a risk of stomach cancer." The family of 3 became serious upon hearing this, anxiously asking, "What exactly is going on? Does this require surgery?" The doctor gave them the best current advice, hoping they'd consider it soon. "If you decide now, we can schedule surgery immediately." Father nodded repeatedly. "We'll handle the admission procedures today." Mother wanted to persuade them, but he just turned to remind Ling Yun, "Can you go home alone to get some things?" Ling Yun rushed home anxiously. She had told Mom many things about 10 years later, but didn't mention that in that future world, she wouldn't be there. She quickly climbed the stairs to their front door and immediately noticed the yellow umbrella. "Isn't this the one I left on the mountain?" She couldn't help but remember 10 years ago when Mom suddenly asked seriously, "If you could return to 2007, what would you want to do most?" She remembered answering very seriously, "I want the best grades, to become a top designer, for our family to live well, and for you and Dad to be healthy." Mom looked at her amusedly. "You're so greedy." But Ling Yin was very serious. "Then just our family being healthy and happy together." Hearing these sincere words, Mom was somewhat surprised. She asked, touched, "Is this your true wish?" In Yulin Hospital's operating room, father and daughter sat outside anxiously waiting. Lingyan thought regretfully, Mom really believed my words. Meanwhile, on the other side, a train was speeding along the tracks. Chun Fan kept looking out the window. He had left this city to pursue his dreams. Sometimes in life, missing something means missing it forever. But only those who try have the right to say this. Ling Yun decided to be brave and sent a message to Wu Mufeng. By now, Mom had been discharged. Classmates who learned about this came to visit. After informing Mom, she got up to go welcome them. Just as she opened the hospital room door, Zhang Lu and Chen Xia were already standing there, smiling and greeting her. Ling Yun quickly opened the door to let them in. As soon as Zhang Lu entered, she raised both hands excitedly, shouting "Auntie," and gathered around Mom, asking concernedly if she felt better. Mom smiled and said she was fine now. Soon, other classmates arrived one after another, chattering around the hospital bed, creating a lively atmosphere. Wu Mufeng arrived last. Ling Yun became nervous knowing she was there, stuttering to say something. But before she could speak, Wu Mufeng was already walking towards the bed with a fruit basket. Ling Yun froze on the spot, thinking to herself, I didn't know my mom was so popular. After staying for a while, the classmates prepared to leave. Ling Yun saw them off at the hospital entrance, happily waving goodbye. When she turned around, she saw Wu Mufeng standing right in front of her. Her heart was racing like a deer running wild, completely losing its rhythm. Finally, she made up her mind. She suddenly reached out and firmly grabbed Wu Mufeng's wrist. He turned around puzzled but didn't pull away, wondering what Ling Yun was doing. Taking a deep breath and gathering courage, she slowly expressed her feelings. Ever since I first saw you in freshman year, I thought you were strange. You barely spoke, yet you were always the center of attention. I wanted to talk to you 1,000 times, but always feared being ignored or rejected. So I'm a bit nervous now. You might not believe this, but I'm from 2017. Though I look 17, my mind is 27 years old. Looking up at Wu Mufeng seriously, she continued, because I just realized that even at 27, I still haven't become brave. But anyway, I need to confirm something first. Can I like you? The classmates turned around in surprise. Hearing this confession, Wu Mufeng was stunned for a moment, then smiled gently. Just as he was about to speak, he seemed to freeze. Or rather, the entire world seemed to freeze. Like a giant projector, the story ended here. Someone asked if they should continue watching. In a laboratory, a young girl removed her virtual glasses. Everything above had been paused. The girl said softly, "No need to watch further." She was Ling Yun's granddaughter, Wu Lingyu. After watching her grandmother's life, she curiously asked the lab staff, "Is this the soul simulator?" The staff explained kindly. More precisely, it's a new product combining the soul simulator and universal simulator. Wu Lingyu was stunned. Looking at the screen above, she couldn't help but stroke her chin in praise. I didn't expect soul trimming would preserve all memories before 2017. Placing this soul into that year's data stream created such interesting developments. The staff looked at her speechlessly. That person is your grandmother. Wu Lingyu nodded fearlessly. The staff reminded her, if Mr. Wu finds out you're here, you'll be in trouble. But Wu Lingyu was already lost in her own world. Grandmother's mom was so nice. Grandmother was so strange when young, and still strange as an old lady. The staff warned, stop speaking ill of your grandmother. But Wu Lingyu became more serious. You saw it too. Grandmother was gentle and timid. Seeing time was running out, Wu Lingyu hurriedly said goodbye to Uncle Zhang. I must go now. Don't tell anyone about this, especially my dad. Since the emergence of soul extraction technology, the souls and memories of the deceased could be encoded and stored as data in tech companies. However, humans haven't found a way to inject souls, making resurrection impossible. But soul projection has become popular recently, allowing descendants to watch their ancestors' life playbacks. Wu Lingyu recalled her grandmother's life. They got together in 2019. As an observer, I know everything they experienced. So she gradually formed a bold idea. This time, she wanted to let grandmother try time travel. But whether by coincidence, or perhaps it was the legendary wheels of fate slowly turning. The confession that should have happened in 2019 unexpectedly came more than a decade early. As soon as Wu Lingyu returned home, his father angrily shouted at him, "Why weren't you in class? Where did you go?" Wu Lingyu guiltily turned his head away. After a moment of silence, An idea formed in his mind. Standing straight, he confidently replied, "There was a Go competition today. That's why I'm late." His father was furious. He had given him a chance to admit his mistake, yet he still dared to lie. This man was Ling Yun's son, Wu Bowen. He pointed to a letter above. "Then tell me what this is." Wu Lingyu's jaw dropped in shock. His sister Wu Lingyue curiously moved closer. She excitedly patted her mom beside her, shouting, "It's a love letter." Wu Lingyu was utterly embarrassed, demanding, "How could you look through my things?" Mom couldn't bear watching anymore and gently reminded him, "Check your sending records carefully." Wu Lingyu checked his phone and realized he had sent it to his dad. Filled with regret, he immediately knelt down. "Father, please forgive me. Just don't read it out loud." Wu Bowen snorted coldly. "Dear Zwa Aming, this is my first time writing to you. I don't know what to say." Wu Bowen commented while reading. Doesn't know what to say, yet wrote over 50 pages. Wu Lingyu painfully covered his face, shaking his head in mortification. "If you continue, your daughter will die right here." His father ignored him. He reached out trying to stop his dad from reading further. Is this public execution? He was so embarrassed his toes could dig out a 4-bedroom apartment. "Grandma, I used to be spoiled too, saying I wanted to go back to childhood. When I learned time couldn't be reversed, I cried several times. But now, people can simulate and relive life countless times through simulation. However, I don't want that anymore. I think once in a lifetime is just right. Cherish the present and enjoy life."